Chapter 730. Under such a huge premeditated scheme, there was also absolute strength behind it, which was why it could reach such a level. Don't you think that the poison sect of the southern region and the Qing Yuan villa are putting on an act? Zheng Yonghui said. Everyone was startled when they heard Zheng Yonghui's words. The poison sect of the southern region was vicious and merciless. Their actions were terrifying. They did not leave any leeway. Wherever they went, they would start an earth-shattering massacre. They would massacre the entire village and town. They did not treat people as human lives at all. That was why the Eight Banners army was able to rise so quickly. Moreover, some of the people who had been persecuted by the poison sect of the southern region rose up one after another. Since the imperial court did not do anything, they would do it themselves. Therefore, they joined the Eight Banners army. This allowed the Eight Banners army to grow rapidly. Ever since the Eight Banners army was established, the poison sect of the southern region had been forced to retreat repeatedly. Although they had killed many remnants along the way, the main force of the poison sect of the southern region was not injured at all. The poison sect of the southern region had been fleeing for their lives. In addition, the Eight Banners army had been chasing after them. They did not kill many of them. Instead, they recruited them along the way, causing the Eight Banners army to grow even stronger. If one were to observe carefully, one would discover that these people were putting on an act. Otherwise, how could there be such a coincidence? Now that they had fled to the middle mountain, they had nowhere else to run. They were trapped on the middle mountain. If they wanted to leave, they would have to swim over the Qianding River. Even a large-scale head-on conflict had never occurred. Even if it was an act, it was done very carelessly. Usually, everyone was blinded by the crisis in front of them. Now that they were talking about this, they were even more shocked. It seemed that there was indeed such a thing going on. This was too much of a coincidence. This was a battle of life and death. Even if the Eight Banners army could not kill the poison sect of the southern region, the poison sect of the southern region should have turned around and defeated the Eight Banners army. If that is the case, isn't our Jade Wave giant city in imminent danger? Some of the family heads finally regained their senses. His words instantly caused a wave of panic. Even Pang Shan looked at Zheng Yonghui with a look of pleading for help. Why are you panicking? Zheng Yonghui let out a low growl, then looked around with his sharp eyes. As long as we defend the city, how can these idle fish and scattered soldiers break into our Emerald Wave colossal city? My Zheng family's 20 Qilin battleships have been prepared. Let's fight at any time. Zheng Yonghui said. Qilin battleship. The Zheng family was a master shipbuilder. The technology itself was very advanced, and it also made a great contribution to the military industry of the Xingyan dynasty. Military and transportation. The appearance of the sky-shaking ship was also a technology that made people gasp in amazement. As for the Qilin warship, it was a warship with extremely powerful firepower. Once it was activated, it could even resist an army of 1,000,000. Even if it's the Qing Yuan manner, he can forget about controlling my Jade Wave giant city. So what if he's King Qing Yuan? If he attacks the city, it's tantamount to rebellion. What was there to fear from a rebel king? As long as we stay united internally, Cerulean Wave giant city will be indestructible. Zheng Yonghui said. At the same time, his gaze swept across the surrounding people. His words were very obvious. If someone wanted to be a traitor, it would be destroying the stability and prosperity of Cerulean Wave giant city, making an enemy of the Zheng family. Their fates wouldn't be any better. Many people also swallowed their saliva. At this moment, it was impossible to get off the tiger. They could only unite with the Zheng family. Only in this way could they have a chance to survive. But now, they could only pray in their hearts. They prayed that these people would not attack the city at this time. It would be best if these people did not have the guts to attack the city. Otherwise, their end would be very unpredictable. Go back and prepare well. A war is inevitable. How can we live under someone else's rule? Zheng Yonghui waved his hand, indicating that the meeting was adjourned, leaving the city lord and Zheng Yonghui alone in the room. After everyone left, Pang Shan looked at Zheng Yonghui with an inquiring gaze. Are there really 20 Qilin battleships? Pang Jun's eyes flashed with excitement. If there were really 20 Qilin battleships, it would not be a problem to deal with the 8 Banners army. One Qilin battleship was enough to resist 100,000 soldiers. However, Pang Jun saw that Zheng Yonghui's expression was extremely gloomy. There are only 2 Qilin battleships that can be used at the moment. If there are 20 Qilin battleships, we don't have enough energy. We don't have enough primordial stones in reserve. Zheng Yonghui said. Normally, even if they were in a state of war, 1 Qilin battleship was enough to deter the enemy. However, if they wanted to use 20 Qilin battleships at the same time, even if they had enough energy, they did not have enough pilots to operate them. Such a powerful Qilin battleship naturally needed the most trusted person to operate it. Otherwise, if the cannons of the Qilin battleship were slightly turned to fire at their own people during a war, they would end up in a miserable state. Therefore, the pilots of the Qilin battleships were of the utmost importance. Seeing this, Pang Shan's expression changed. There are only 2 Qilin battleships. This, Pang Shan's face was instantly filled with nervousness. As a result, the situation was much worse than expected. Even if there are only 2 Qilin battleships, these people won't dare to act rashly. I've sent a message to my family in Royal City and reported the situation here to the Imperial Court. Zheng Yonghui said. For such a matter, it was naturally necessary to have a backup plan. Otherwise, they would die sooner or later if they waited here for their deaths. The 8 Banners army has more than 500,000 soldiers and countless experts. Most of them are angry people who are not to be trifled with. Moreover, the people from the poison sect from southern border are secretly causing trouble, Pang Shan said. I know that the people from the poison sect from southern border have already infiltrated the city. If I'm not mistaken, the people from the Yang clan are already planning to betray us. The Yang clan was the only clan that did not follow the Zheng clan's lead. The Yang clan was also very powerful and was on par with the Zheng clan in terms of strength. Since they were both big clans, there was no need for them to bow and bend their knees to the Zheng clan. Therefore, the Yang clan was also planning to betray the Zheng clan. The 20 Qilin battleships were purposely mentioned to the Yang clan to deter them. Otherwise, the Yang clan would really think that they could go against the Zheng clan. What? Pang Shan was also extremely shocked. He did not expect the poison sect from southern border to act so quickly. At the same time, he was also puzzled. Since Zheng Yonghui already knew about it, why didn't he directly eliminate the people from the Yang clan? Instead, why did he keep them alive until now? Wasn't that like raising a tiger that would invite calamity? However, this matter was not so simple. If he took action now, he would directly destroy the aquamarine wave giant city. It was naturally a military taboo to have internal and external troubles. City Lord, it's not good. The 8 Banners army has gathered outside the city gate and is requesting to enter the city. Pang Shan's subordinate came to report. When they heard the news, both of them were obviously surprised. How could these people act so quickly? Damn it, prepare for battle. Zheng Yonghui slapped his palm. Since these bastards were serious, he did not want to waste time talking nonsense with them. So what if he had to fight a bloody battle? Chapter 731. Outside the giant cerulean wave city. 6 of the 8 Banner soldiers had arrived. The colors of the 8 Banner soldiers were 4 black and 4 white. 4 different totems and the black and white flags fluttered in the sky. The 6 Banner masters were standing side by side on their horses. They looked at the giant cerulean wave city in front of them. They had not encountered any resistance along the way. If they could take down the giant cerulean wave city, they were confident that they could expand their sphere of influence to the entire Dingquan province. Currently, most of the second-grade cities had become the puppets of the 8 banner soldiers. Behind them was a vast and mighty army. Although they were not uniform in terms of attire, their core strength was gathered together. They used their hatred for the poison sect of the southern border to control these people. The banner master of the White Tiger banner raised his head and looked at the giant cerulean wave city. Brothers, those poison sect of the southern border are hiding in the giant cerulean wave city. Now, the giant cerulean wave city won't let us in. Tell me, what should we do? Kill! 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 Shouts and roars shook the sky behind them. Surging killing intent rushed toward the giant cerulean wave city. When Zheng Yonghui saw this scene, his expression immediately became serious. Damn it, these people have no intention of negotiating. Zheng Yonghui slapped his thigh. He immediately came to his senses. Previously, he thought that these people would have some misgivings. However, after thinking carefully, if these people were really in cahoots with the poison sect of the southern border, then there was no need to worry. They would charge into the city wall without any misgivings. They would kill them all, then let the poison sect of the southern border destroy the scene and make it look like they were the ones who did it. Why did Zheng Yonghui only think of such a simple logic now? There were at least 400,000 to 500,000 people in the city. There were only 80,000 soldiers stationed in the city. With such a huge difference, it would not be easy to deal with these people. They could be wiped out at any time. This was because the poison sect of the southern border was still causing trouble in the city. Coordinating from the inside and the outside, it was simply a seamless cooperation. Prepare for battle. Just as Zheng Yonghui gave the order, a loud sound suddenly came from the city. Boom! Zheng Yonghui subconsciously looked in the direction of his family. He saw that the warship that had just ascended had already exploded and a terrifying flame appeared on its side. When the flames appeared, Zheng Yonghui's face became extremely ugly. This is not the Qilin battleship. The unique external appearance of the Qilin battleship was unforgettable. The other Qilin battleship, which had just taken off, also exploded at this moment. A black smoke rose into the sky. Then, the Qilin battleship lost its power and fell to the ground. This, Pang Shan's mood was even worse than Zheng Yonghui's when he saw this scene. The 2 Qilin warships, which could withstand an army of 100,000, were destroyed just like that. They were already at a disadvantage before the battle even began. The destruction of such a warship meant that they had lost half of their defensive power. Fuck! Zheng Yonghui couldn't help but curse. The enemy had clearly come prepared. Moreover, their plan was quite thorough. Even Zheng Yonghui had fallen for it. When the White Tiger banner master saw the 2 plumes of black smoke rising from the city, the corners of his mouth curled up into a smile. He unsheathed the White Tiger sword in his hand. Brothers, kill them. The black smoke rising meant that the Zheng family's Qilin battleship had already been destroyed. There was nothing to be afraid of now. Money makes the world go round. This saying was very useful no matter where one went. When this furious roar rang out, the 6 banner masters also urged their horses forward. It was only the initial stage, so they naturally had to charge at the very front. It would be best if they were injured or something like that. Only then would they be able to fool the people behind them. Although the 6 banner masters had moved out at the same time and were at the forefront, they were actually very safe. After all, the first batch of soldiers behind them were blood strike guards in disguise. Furthermore, given the skills of the 6 banner masters and the fact that they were all Yuan monarchs, there wouldn't be any problems at all. The White Tiger Division master suddenly felt that something was wrong. When he looked up, he suddenly saw a figure appear above his head. If he wasn't mistaken, this figure seemed to be a carriage. How did this carriage directly fly into the sky? What is that? Zheng Yonghui and the others also saw the carriage flying into the sky. It seemed to have flown directly from a very far place. The horse in front seemed to be running with all its might and did not lose its balance. It was like a flying horse flying into the sky. Along with the carriage, it landed on the city wall of Jade Wave Giant City with a boom. "Protect, sir." The soldiers on the city wall immediately protected Zheng Yonghui and Pang Shan. The carriage stopped steadily on the city wall. Tian Fei landed on the ground and turned to look at the army that was charging at them from below. His eyes instantly locked onto the 6 people who were charging at the front. Although Tian Fei didn't know why Li Zongjiu hated the people of the Qingyuan villa so much, Tian Fei didn't care. As long as he killed these people, it would be fine. In any case, he had already killed a lot of people from the Qingyuan villa. So what if he killed them? The current Tian Fei could be said to be different from before. He didn't even have to worry about anything. "You. Who are you?" Pang Shan said nervously. Tian Fei didn't say anything else. He immediately leaped and flew toward the bottom of the city wall. As he was in the air, he unsheathed his sword. An incomparably sharp sword aura immediately swept downwards. Boom! With just one man and one sword, he actually charged into the army below. Oh my god! Zheng Yonghui, on the other hand, was looking at this scene. He simply couldn't believe his eyes. Zheng Yonghui could also sense that the young man seemed to be at the Yuan monarch realm. As the head of the Zheng family, Zheng Yonghui's cultivation was also at the Yuan monarch realm. However, even Zheng Yonghui didn't dare to rush down and face so many people alone. Among them, the 6 banner masters were all Yuan monarchs. "You are courting death. I'll kill him." When the Black Wolf banner chief saw Tian Fei descending from the sky, he stomped on the back of his horse. The steel spear in his hand abruptly shot out. As he shot out his spear, a cold light flashed between him and Tian Fei. Boom! The Black Wolf banner master's body immediately fell from the sky. His body had already been split in half. After all, he was from the mystic Yuan sect. His cultivation was also at the level of a grade 5 Yuan monarch. If he had activated his innate talent, he would have probably reached the level of a grade 6 or even a grade 7 Yuan monarch. Therefore, it would be easy for him to kill these people who were only at the level of a grade 2 Yuan monarch. The moment Black Wolf banner leader attacked, he was instantly killed. This scene shocked the remaining 5 banner masters. However, the arrow had already been knocked and had to be released. The 5 of them didn't dare to be careless and attacked together. The blood strike guards behind them immediately got into formation and formed a large bloody array. Boom! Tian Fei landed on the ground and immediately engaged in a fierce battle with the 5 banner masters. As the 6 Yuan monarchs exchanged blows, the chaotic aura emitted instantly stopped the charging army behind them. If they rushed forward now, they would be torn to shreds by the aura emitted by these Yuan monarchs. Zheng Yonghui and the others on the city wall were stunned when they saw this scene. If they weren't mistaken, this young man should be driving the carriage. Who exactly was the person in the carriage? Another person walked down. Magistrate. Pang Shan was delighted when he saw Fang Youji. He hadn't expected that such an expert would be brought here by Fang Youji. Could the imperial court already know that these people were causing trouble? Magistrate, could this be the expert you invited? Fang Youji shook his head. No, it's his men. Him. Could there be someone with a higher status than the magistrate? How could he let the magistrate get off the carriage first? Li Zongjiu walked down from the carriage. Is this Bibo City? Li Zongjiu looked ordinary and mediocre. He didn't have the temperament of an expert. He looked more like a weak weakling. The clothes he was wearing were simple gray clothes, and he didn't look like he was rich or noble. It really made people blind. He was clearly an ordinary person. This is Li Zongjiu. Chapter 732. Li Zongjiu. Li Zongjiu. Pang Shan and Zheng Yonghui were both surprised. The name of the man named Li Zongjiu in front of him actually sounded so familiar. I remember now. You are Haoran's elder brother. Zheng Yonghui suddenly said. Zheng Haoran often mentioned Li Zongjiu's name in front of Zheng Yonghui. Later on, Li Zongjiu made a name for himself in the Sacred Flame Royal City. After all, some of the dynasty's official announcements would also record the happenings in the royal city. At the same time, more of these wandering people would gradually spread the deeds of Li Zongjiu in the Sacred Flame Royal City. It was also because of this that the people of Dinghuan province heard of the name Li Zongjiu. It's the famous Li Zongjiu in the royal city. Pang Shan also came to a realization. He did not expect that the legendary person was actually such an ordinary young man. It was truly unexpected. You are? Li Zongjiu looked at Zheng Yonghui. I'm Zheng Haoran's father, Zheng Yonghui. Zheng Haoran. Li Zongjiu still had an impression of this person. When he was in Guanxi town, Zheng Haoran was also there to support him. That was why his uncle was able to take up the position of Guanxi town's garrison guard. So you're Zheng Haoran's father? Li Zongjiu said. If Zheng Haoran's father was Zheng Haoran's father, then he was the head of the Zheng family. He was the head of the family who worked hard for 500 years to raise Cerulean Wave giant city to a first-class city. Zheng Yonghui had indeed worked very hard. His standard was obviously high enough, but there would always be unexpected situations. Li Zongjiu did not remember the specific situation later on. However, looking at Zheng Yonghui now, he did not think that Zheng Yonghui was a useless person. Someone must have been dragging him down. Are the people below from Qingyuan Villa? When Li Zongjiu saw the dense mass of people, he thought, isn't this a little too grand? To be able to easily summon so many people to help out, this Qingyuan Villa's methods were truly extraordinary. Most of them are victims from other cities who were used by them. Only a few of them are the real members of the Eight Banners army. Zheng Yonghui pointed at some of the people below. These people obviously looked well trained, but Tian Fei's fierce battle had already turned the situation into an extremely dangerous one. If one dared to approach them, one would be injured by their aura. However, the blood-robed guards were also lying in ambush, ready to charge in at any moment. On the other hand, Tian Fei was fighting against 5 banner masters alone. This battle was extremely fierce, and Tian Fei was gradually gaining the upper hand. This situation was unexpected. A mere youngster was actually able to fight to a draw with 5 banner masters. Moreover, he had directly killed the Black Wolf banner master at the beginning of the battle. Are there people from Nanjiang's poison sect in this city? Li Zongjiu scanned the city with his mind power and immediately discovered that there were many movements in Jade Wave City. These movements were the aura of Nanjiang's poison sect. Li Zongjiu would never forget the aura of these bastards. Yes, before Zheng Yonghui could finish speaking, Li Zongjiu's figure had already disappeared from the spot. Even Zheng Yonghui, who was a Yuan monarch, had not been able to clearly see Li Zongjiu's movements. In the city, the group from Nanjiang's poison sect was already preparing to retreat after completing their mission. Their mission today was to destroy the Zheng family's Qilin battleship. If the Qilin battleship unleashed its full power, it would take less than an hour to destroy the Middle Reaches mountain. Currently, most of the members of Nanjiang's poison sect were loitering around the Middle Reaches mountain. Are you guys going to leave just like that? Aren't you going to kill everyone from the Zheng family? Yang Xiao, the head of the Yang family, panicked when he saw that the members of Nanjiang's poison sect were preparing to leave. Hadn't they previously agreed to take the life of the head of the Zheng family in addition to the 2 Qilin battleships? However, it seemed like these people were not going to continue attacking the Zheng family. Hehe. Head of the Yang family, don't worry. When the 6 banner masters attack, the entire Zheng family will be annihilated. An elder of Nanjiang's poison sect said. This elder was called Amandao. At the beginning, he had only been a small slave in Nanjiang's tribe. However, by chance, he had mastered the poison sect's poison sect. Now, He had slowly climbed to the position of an elder. It was incredible. Mandao and the others were dressed in black robes. Then, he waved his hand, put on his hat, and left. There was also a secret passage when they came. As long as they entered the secret passage, they would be able to leave safely. The members of the Zheng family had already begun to search the nearby area to find out who had attacked their Qilin battleship. The Zheng family's Sky Shaker battleship soared into the sky. Over there, Yang Xiao. So it's you. Zheng Haoran led the guards of the Zheng family and charged out. With a glance, he saw that Yang Xiao was actually sneaking around nearby. He immediately gave chase. Damn it! Yang Xiao cursed. As expected, these people were unreliable. However, he could only hope that the 6 banner masters would be able to kill all of the Zheng clan's people after they entered the city. Seeing Zheng Haoran and the others chasing after him, Yang Xiao also flew into the distance. Let's leave this place first. Mandao led the 6 people behind him and continued to advance in the city. In a small alley in front of them, a figure suddenly descended from the sky and blocked their path. Are you in such a hurry to reincarnate? Li Zongjiu turned around and looked at the group of Nanjiang's poison sect members. Mandao and the others also stopped. Kill. Immediately, the people behind him used their poison sect techniques and threw many poisonous insects at Li Zongjiu. To a true expert, the attacks of these venomous insects were simply child's play. Mountain flipping golden seal. Li Zongjiu's 10 fingers intertwined as he formed a set of hand seals. Immediately, a golden palm shot out from between his fingers, and with a loud bang, it shot forward. That powerful aura directly locked onto Mandao and the others. Not a single one of them managed to escape. What? Mandao immediately cried out in alarm. However, under the mountain-flipping golden seal, there was no way for him to resist. The golden seal carried a terrifying power and blazing energy. With a bang, it smashed onto Mandao and the others. While they were smashed into meat paste, they were also burned to ashes. Chapter 733. Several members of the Southern Border's poison sect were instantly reduced to ashes. Ever since Li Zongjiu started cultivating the mountain-toppling golden seal, he had used it many times. The feeling of killing an enemy in one move was quite good. Sometimes, there was no need to make things so complicated. It was fine as long as it was easy to deal with, and it would also prevent some messy things from happening again. It seems that the members of the Southern Border poison sect are indeed nearby. Li Zongjiu looked in the direction of the middle range mountain. Then, his figure flashed and he returned to the city wall. Where are the members of the Southern Border poison sect? Fang Youji asked. There are 7 of them in total. They're all dead. Li Zongjiu casually tossed out a token. This was Mandao's identity token. The poison sect of the Southern Border could be considered a small-scale organization. Therefore, they had their own unique methods for these identity tokens. This identity token had been enhanced with an extremely complicated process. Hence, it was not directly shattered by Li Zongjiu's palm strike. Zheng Yonghui held the identity token in his hand. After some inspection, he confirmed that it was indeed the identity token of those people. Moreover, based on the material and manufacturing method, it seemed that the person's status was not low. Although he did not see the corpse, the identity token that Li Zongjiu took out was enough to prove it. You're dragging it out. How long has it been, and you still haven't solved it? Li Zongjiu glanced at Tian Fei below. Tian Fei seemed to have been trapped by these people. Li Zongjiu also keenly discovered that Tian Fei seemed to have been poisoned. His body was already showing some stiff purple color. These people's methods were also very powerful. Retreat! Li Zongjiu immediately shouted. After hearing this, Tian Fei, who was in the middle of a fierce battle, did not hesitate to give up the battle in front of him and directly retreated. Given his strength, it was not difficult for him to escape if he wanted to. However, he did not expect these people to be so despicable as to poison him. This caused Tian Fei to be unexpectedly poisoned. This poison could be said to be of 5 elements and 5 colors. It was without a trace. Unknowingly, he was already poisoned. After Tian Fei retreated, the banner masters also noticed Li Zongjiu descending from the sky. They all said disdainfully, "Another one has come to court death." However, while Li Zongjiu was still in the air, the Blood Strike guards below had already formed their formation. They were waiting for Li Zongjiu to land so that they could trap Li Zongjiu in the formation. Mountain-toppling golden seal. Li Zongjiu's fingers intertwined with each other and formed a set of finger seals. Suddenly, the terrifying overturning mountain golden seal was released, and a huge golden handprint emerged from his hand. It was as if a golden mountain was crashing down. What? This power. We can't even break free. What a terrifying power. Damn it. Just as these people nervously watched the golden seal fall in front of them, they had already forgotten to block it. They could only watch helplessly as the golden seal smashed into their bodies. They didn't even have the chance to escape. Boom! A powerful wave of energy immediately spread out in all directions. Apart from this power, after the golden light flashed, it was clear that there were some black marks where these people had originally been. These were the remains of their bodies after they were smashed into pieces. The 5 banner masters died one after another. The hundreds of blood-robed guards in the vicinity were also reduced to ashes by this move. Li Zongjiu's body landed on the ground. The shock brought about by this move swept through all of the 8 banners' soldiers like a storm. The 8 banner masters were so flustered that they started to tremble. They could not even react when they saw the scene before them. What? On the city wall, Zheng Yonghui's eyes nearly popped out of their sockets. If he remembered correctly, there were nearly 5 Yuan kings and hundreds of Yuan ancestor realm experts below. If such a force was gathered, it would be more than enough to attack the Zheng family. If they were not prepared, they could easily destroy the Zheng family's foundation. Moreover, the Qilin battleship had been severely damaged today. And such a terrifying force, after Li Zongjiu made his move, it only took a single move to wipe out all these people. Everyone was dead. Could it be that my eyes are playing tricks on me? Zheng Yonghui looked at Pang Shan. Pang Shan's expression was one of shock. He did not believe it at all. His body was already halfway out, trying to take a closer look. This. Pang Shan also looked at Zheng Yonghui in shock. It was as if he was trying to verify something with Zheng Yonghui. This was simply too ferocious. What had just happened was not something a human could do. Behind them, Tian Fei was also recovering his Yuan Qi. When he saw Li Zongjiu's move descending from the sky, he could feel the boundless power. It was simply too powerful. What a terrifying force. Tian Fei was full of admiration for Jian Wushuang. Suddenly, a whistling sound came from the city. Then, a huge flying boat that was glowing with green light gradually rose into the sky. At the front of the boat, there was a terrifying cannon muzzle. On the hull of the ship, a row of cannons appeared. It was like the god of death, staring ahead and making everyone fearful. The Qilin battleship. It was the Zheng family's Qilin battleship. Although 2 Qilin battleships had been destroyed previously, the son of the Zheng family head, Zheng Haoran, had made a prompt decision to reassemble the remaining parts of the Qilin battleship and place them on the new Qilin battleship. Therefore, he had forcibly activated the Qilin battleship to form a new deterrent. No matter what, they had to deploy the Qilin battleship first. Otherwise, they would not be able to control the situation. The members of the Zheng family gathered on the Qilin battleship to protect the last Qilin battleship. Li Zongjiu turned around and looked at the Qilin battleship. Its mighty momentum made Li Zongjiu slightly glance at it. This thing looked pretty good. Interesting. When the Qilin battleship appeared, a commotion broke out among the Eight Banners army. It's the Zheng family's Qilin battleship. The Qilin battleship. This name was like a plague that spread through the entire team. The Banner Lords are all dead. What are we doing here? That Qilin battleship can kill us all with one shot. Let's run. A loud and clear voice came from the Qilin battleship. Lay down your weapons and surrender. Otherwise, we will fire. The soldiers of the Eight Banners army began to flee in all directions. Clatter. A series of people ran towards the distance like an avalanche. Not only did they throw away their helmets and armors, but they also didn't have much equipment on them. Some of them even fell to the ground and were trampled to death by their own people. Ha! My Zheng family's Qilin battleship is so awesome. Zheng Yonghui suddenly felt like he was shining brightly. At this moment, it was as if the eyes of the entire world were focused on Zheng Yonghui. This made Zheng Yonghui truly understand that only when one was strong enough would others be able to look at him in the eye. They finally retreated. Pang Shan also heaved a sigh of relief. When Fang Youji saw this scene, his heart was filled with emotions. He did not know what to say. To think that such a grave and huge crisis would be resolved so easily in the hands of Li Zongjiu. Kun province is lucky to have Li Zongjiu, Fang Youji could not help but sigh. Since he was present today, everything that happened in Cerulean Wave Giant City was free to judge. Therefore, there was no need to worry. Your battleship is not bad. How much is it? Li Zongjiu's figure appeared beside Zheng Yonghui. Chapter 734. Zheng Yonghui was full of pride when he mentioned the Qilin battleship. However, he did not dare to be too arrogant in front of Li Zongjiu. After all, the scene of Li Zongjiu killing hundreds of people with a single slap was still vivid in his mind. The Qilin battleship was a deterrent against such a large-scale army. After all, the number of people who could escape would be very few. Most of them would not be able to escape in time. However, if it was used against Yuan Qi experts, the Qilin battleship would be a live target. A Yuan monarch elite could easily land on the Qilin battleship and destroy it directly. The construction cost of this Qilin battleship is ordinary, but the driving energy is extremely expensive. It will consume at least one mid-grade Yuan stone just to maintain the kinetic energy for an hour. It will also require at least one high-grade Yuan stone to power it as an arsenal. Zheng Yonghui could not help but say. This thing was simply a monster that ate Yuan stones. In order to unleash its power, it had to be fed. How many families could afford to consume so many Yuan stones? Therefore, the Zheng family would not let the Qilin battleship open fire unless it was absolutely necessary. Otherwise, hundreds of thousands of purple coins would be wasted. I will give you 100 high-grade Yuan stones in exchange for 10 Qilin battleships. Li Zongjiu did not say anything else. He immediately took out 100 high-grade Yuan stones from the southern nation ring. Hundreds of high-grade Yuan stones landed on the ground and immediately exuded a suffocating Yuan Qi. This kind of origin Qi that assaulted one's face was simply going to cause one to faint from the rush. It was truly incomparably shocking. Zheng Yonghui had not expected Li Zongjiu to be so straightforward. With these high-grade Yuan stones, the rest of the Qilin battleships of the Zheng family could be activated as backup. This was the most important thing. Therefore, although those people had launched a sneak attack and destroyed the Qilin battleship, it was actually not a big problem. The construction cost of a Qilin battleship was only about 20 million purple yuan. After all, it was relatively easier for craftsmen who cultivated Yuan Qi to build and assemble these things. The cost of manpower was slightly reduced mainly because of the preciousness of the blueprint and the power of the weapon. Deal. Zheng Yonghui was no ordinary person. He reached out his hand and kept the 100 upper-grade primordial stones under the envious gazes of the surrounding people. As expected of someone who had returned from the royal city, he was so generous. Father. A figure descended from the sky. It was Zheng Haoren, the third young master of the Zheng family. Zheng Haoren was fully armed. Although Zheng Haoren did not know how to operate this Qilin battleship, in fact, this battleship was under Zheng Haoren's name. The talents on board were also cultivated by Zheng Haoren. The people on this fleet were also loyal to Zheng Haoren. It had to be said that the Zheng family's model was a way of spreading their branches and spreading their leaves. Everyone developed independently and became stronger on their own before finally returning to the family. It was precisely this method that made the Zheng family feel as though they had accumulated a lot of resources and were about to explode. After all, this required a process of accumulation in order to achieve such results and achievements. This time, Zheng Haoren could be said to have completed his task perfectly. With only a Qilin battleship, he forced these people to retreat and solved the crisis of the Azure Wave giant city. Just thinking about it made Zheng Haoren feel that it was very cool. Therefore, he naturally came to Zheng Yonghui to ask for credit. Of course, he also wanted to see if there was any danger on the battleship. "You trash. 2 of our battleships have been destroyed. Did you catch the culprit?" As soon as Zheng Haoren landed on the ground, Zheng Yonghui started to rain curses on him, causing the smile on Zheng Haoren's face to immediately stiffen. The change in style was too fast, which was beyond Zheng Haoren's expectation. "If it weren't for young hero Li Zongjiu, your father would have been killed," Zheng Yonghui said, naturally leading Zheng Haoren's gaze to Li Zongjiu's direction. Since Li Zongjiu was so powerful, if he was really the brother of Zheng Haoren's son, wouldn't the Zheng family be like a dragon rising from the shallow beach? Li. Big. Brother. When Zheng Haoren saw Li Zongjiu in front of him, he suddenly froze. When he met Li Zongjiu in the small Guanxi town, after seeing Li Zongjiu's skills, Zheng Haoren knew that Li Zongjiu was definitely not an ordinary person. Who could use the green light sword finger to such an extraordinary level? Only Li Zongjiu could do it. Big brother. When Zheng Haoren saw Li Zongjiu, he immediately rushed up and gave Li Zongjiu a bear hug. Li Zongjiu also patted Zheng Haoren's shoulder. Although the two of them did not have much interaction, Li Zongjiu could see that Zheng Haoren sincerely treated him as a big brother. If Zheng Haoren could help him, then Li Zongjiu could protect him for a lifetime. "I didn't expect to come to your territory," Li Zongjiu suddenly said with a smile. "But why is your cultivation still so weak? How can my level be compared to you, big brother?" Zheng Haoren immediately waved his hand and said. Seeing that Zheng Haoren and Li Zongjiu's relationship seemed to be very good, Zheng Yonghui's heart was simply blooming with flowers. It should be known that if a young expert like Li Zongjiu, or any expert, did not establish a good foundation when they grew up early, then even if they wanted to befriend later, it would be harder than ascending to the heavens. Therefore, there was nothing more perfect than being able to lay down the foundation at an early stage. "Right, we found traces of the poison sect in Nanjiang. There are at least 6 of them. Now that these people are still wandering in the city, we must catch them," Zheng Haoren said. "Waiting for you, it's too late." Zheng Yonghui glared at Zheng Haoren, as if blaming Zheng Haoren for not doing a good job. Of course, it was also to highlight Li Zongjiu's strength and power. In such a short time, he directly killed the people of the poison sect in Nanjiang, including an elder-level expert. It was really amazing. So powerful. When Zheng Haoren saw Zheng Yonghui's unhurried manner, he knew what was going on. When he heard Zheng Yonghui's words, it was obvious that Li Zongjiu had settled the matter. He felt even more heartfelt admiration. Right, the people of the Yang family were also involved. "We originally wanted to capture that Yang Shao, but he was too strong and escaped," Zheng Haoren said solemnly. The external problem was solved, then the next thing was to solve the internal problem. "Let's not talk about this first. Let's first meet the prefect of Dinghuan province," Zheng Yonghui said. Fang Youxi's official prestige was not strong, but at a glance, it gave people a feeling that it was as heavy as a mountain. He was indeed a reliable person, and at the same time, a person protected by great luck. Given Fang Youji's status, he was definitely the person with the greatest authority in Dinghuan province. Just a word from him would be able to give Emerald Wave Colossal City better policies and treatment. The existence of the prefectures was to develop and adjust the balance of power of the cities under them. Therefore, if you want Cerulean Wave Giant City to be good, you must have a good relationship with Fang Youji. Greetings, Prefect. Zheng Haoren heard that the prefect of Dinghuan province was an incredible person, so he quickly bowed. I've long heard of the Zheng family of Cerulean Wave Giant City. You're indeed full of heroes. Fang Youji said with a smile. This group of people of the Zheng family was quite interesting. Leave the matters here to me. Everyone, please settle down in the city. Patriarch Zheng, I'll leave the reception to you. Pang Shan said. In addition to dealing with the aftermath, they also had to figure out the current situation. Now that so many people had died at the scene, they naturally had to find out the origin of these people and whether there were any other accomplices. There were many things that needed to be dealt with. Prefect, please. Young Hero Li, if you don't mind, let my Zheng family do the honors of being a host. Zheng Yonghui said. Let's go. I still have to give face to Haoren. Li Zongjiu said. Of course, they had to give Zheng Haoren face. Of course, not everyone was qualified to treat Li Zongjiu to a meal. Tian Fei took advantage of the time just now to recover and continued to follow Li Zongjiu. This is Tian Fei. Li Zongjiu introduced. Strictly speaking, Tian Fei was a follower, not a slave. Brother Tian Fei's cultivation is so profound. Chapter 735. The few of them ate and drank to their heart's content at the table. Zheng Yonghui had originally said that he wanted to make some programs for Li Zongjiu to watch, but he had been rejected by Li Zongjiu. The best years of one's life were not to be wasted on such things. Li Zongjiu was not interested in such things. When the Qilin worship is completed, send it directly to the Li family of Luoxia City. Li Zongjiu said. Zheng Yonghui naturally had to make good use of an order of 100 high-grade source stones. It would be very difficult to get people to support the development of the worship industry, especially under such circumstances. After all, this worship had been painstakingly built by a large group of people for several months, yet it had been split in half by a Yuan monarch powerhouse. Wouldn't that have been a waste of effort? Young Hero Li, don't worry. If you have the latest warships, just bring them to Sacred Flame Royal City and look for me. If you don't have enough funds for research and development, you can also look for me. This industry has a lot of prospects. Li Zongjiu said nonchalantly. Not many people were paying attention to these warships now. However, in fact, 3,000 years later, powerful warships would be able to kill Yuan monarchs instantly. At the same time, the cost of building such warships would also be very high. However, this also proved that cultivation was not the only way out. There were many other ways to become a powerhouse. Zheng Yonghui's eyes lit up when he heard Li Zongjiu's words. Did this mean that Li Zongjiu was willing to help them continue to develop the shipbuilding industry? We will definitely continue to build warships. After all, this is a craft passed down by our ancestors. If there is a need, we will definitely go to Royal City and look for young Hero Li. It was obvious that Li Zongjiu was very supportive of the shipbuilding industry. Even if Zheng Yonghui was thick-skinned, he still had to fight for it. While the few of them were chatting in the restaurant, panic suddenly broke out in the city. Patriarch, this is bad. The Yang clan has joined forces with the Poison sect of the southern frontier. The Poison sect of the southern frontier has summoned an army of blood-sucking bats to create chaos. At this moment, a guard from the Zheng family came to report. In the skies above Jade Wave Colossal City, a large number of blood-sucking bats appeared. To ordinary people, a black swarm of bats was even more terrifying than an army. They chirped and danced in the air. When they saw a figure appear below, they exclaimed in surprise. Then, they pounced down and pecked the man's head with all their might. There were quite a few experts within the city who were busy dealing with these vampire bats. However, they discovered that something even more terrifying had appeared. These terrifying poisonous bugs had burrowed out from the ground and would eat anyone they saw. Such a chaotic scene was like the end of the world. Even the Chilean battleship did not have much effect in such a situation. Whoosh! Tian Fei brandished his sword and immediately cut down dozens of vampire bats that were pouncing at him. There were also countless movements outside the window. Several people walked to the window and looked at the doomsday-like scene. It seems that the killing of their people during the day has infuriated the southern region's poison sect. Zheng Yonghui said indifferently. Not to mention the forces around them, it was almost impossible for the poison sect of the southern frontier to destroy Jadewave Colossal City. If a century-old city like Jadewave Colossal City could be destroyed so easily, these clans might as well eat shit. Since these people had launched such a chaotic attack, it meant that they were in a mess. Over there, high up in the sky, there were a total of 3 people standing on top of the swarm of vampire bats. They were like saints of the dead as they stared at the scene below. There was not the slightest bit of pity in their eyes. When they saw the people being bitten to death by the vampire bats, they even smiled. Their eyes were full of cruelty. They wanted to devour these people completely. Since you dare to kill the people of the poison sect of the southern frontier, I will show you the power of the poison sect of the southern frontier. It has always been the poison sect of the southern frontier who kills people. Kill all the people of Jadewave Colossal City for me. There was madness in the eyes of the 3 people. Yang Xiao, who was hiding in the dark, saw this scene. Although he knew that it was very dangerous, it was better for everyone to die than to die alone. Therefore, they could only watch as this scene unfolded before their eyes. Go! Li Zongjiu said. Immediately, Tian Fei's figure flashed and directly rushed towards the 3 figures in the sky. However, just as Tian Fei moved, on the roof not far away, a dark shadow, who had been lying in wait for a long time, also moved instantly and rushed towards Tian Fei. It was extremely fast. Tian Fei was also surprised. However, he did not put the person in front of him in his eyes. He slashed his sword towards the person, but the person in front of him easily caught the sword with both hands. Clang! Sword chi overflowed and immediately shocked Tian Fei. Is there something wrong with the person in front of him? Did he catch the sword with both hands? Is that all you have? You can't even break my defense. Obviously, this person was an expert who had cultivated the body venomous insect technique. Tian Fei immediately attacked with his sword a few times. His speed was extremely fast, but he was still blocked by the other party. The 2 of them exchanged blows in the sky and their figures retreated continuously. Boom! Tian Fei was thrown in front of the other party's fist. He used his sword to block in front of him and blocked the power of this move. Tian Fei was shocked when he suddenly retreated. The strength of this punch was at least at the level of a 5th-grade Yuan monarch. This person's cultivation was actually almost the same as his. Tian Fei gritted his teeth. Li Zongjiu immediately leaped up. He did not need to hide his strength or make a final move. He directly approached the 3 figures in the sky. Whoosh! A figure blocked in front of the 3 elders of the southern frontier poison sect. His body immediately emitted a terrifying aura. When the aura spread out, it was even stronger than the person who blocked Tian Fei. You are the one who killed Amandao. The person said in a deep voice. The eyes under the black robe stared at Li Zongjiu like the god of death. What Dao? Li Zongjiu did not hear what this guy said and could not help but ask. If you want to know who I killed, you can ask my hand. Ha, you will regret angering me. The person said indifferently. He stretched out his hand. Li Zongjiu immediately saw countless poisonous insects emerging from the ground. The poisonous insects kept climbing upwards, forming a long staircase. These 4 poisonous insect staircases immediately attached themselves to the black-robed man. It seems like you are more powerful. Li Zongjiu could not help but say. Have a taste of my myriad poisons. When the poisonous insects gathered on his body, they immediately brought about a terrifying increase in his strength. At the same time, his body seemed to have merged with the army of poisonous insects. It looked extremely disgusting. How could there be such a way of fighting? Damn! Li Zongjiu was speechless. What was this thing that appeared in front of him? The poisonous insects seemed to have turned into a huge monster because of the condensation of such power. The 3 people behind him gloated at his misfortune. That guy killed Amandao. Doesn't he know that Yi Sui and Amandao were as close as brothers? He is really courting death. Yi Sui's myriad poison demonic technique can already summon demonic creatures. If the one in front of us is 1,000,000 poisonous scorpions, it will be truly terrifying. He could control 1,000,000 poisonous scorpions at once to fight for him. With such strength, he could easily kill a Yuan monarch expert. While the 3 of them were discussing how Yi Sui was going to kill Li Zongjiu, a voice suddenly sounded. They saw a flame appear in front of them. What is that? The 3 of them could not help but be shocked. When they felt the terrifying flame appear, they carefully observed it. Save me! Yi Sui's cries for help came from the flames. When they heard Yi Sui's cry for help, the 3 of them were in disbelief. The poison cult of the southern wilderness had reached this stage. They had a lot of experts, but in fact, they weren't that many. This was thanks to the thunderous momentum of the beginning. They had slaughtered several villages and towns in a row. They had killed tens of thousands of people and created several experts. For example, a man's Tao was created by him. Yi Sui, on the other hand, was someone who had cultivated to this level by himself. The level between the 2 was different. Chapter 736. In the southern border poison cult, Yi Sui was the strongest after the sect leader and the great elder. Now, even Yi Sui was asking for help. However, the 3 of them did not have the time to lend a helping hand. The flames in front of them seemed to have burned out. As for the poisonous insects that seemed to have piled up like a mountain, they were all burned up. They saw Li Zongjiu opposite the flames. The 3 of them could not help but swallow their saliva. They didn't even know what method Li Zongjiu had used to kill the man in front of them. He was killed just like that. It was really shocking. You killed Yi Sui. Oh, he's called Yi Sui. I didn't have the time to ask. What about you guys? Do you want to tell me your names too? Li Zongjiu glanced at the 3 of them, then took out the desolate heaven essence. He looked at the 3 of them with a smile. When the 3 of them saw the smile, they could not help but feel numb in their hearts. Kill him. Even Yi Sui was not Li Zongjiu's match. In the southern border poison cult, under the sect leader were the left and right guardians. However, the left and right guardians were always by the sect leader's side. Although the sect leader's cultivation level was very terrifying, with the addition of the left and right guardians, it was extremely safe. It was also incomparably safe. Therefore, it was not an easy task to find the southern border's poison cult leader. Below the left and right protectors were the various elders. For example, Yi Sui was the strongest existence among the elders. At the same time, he cultivated the body tempering Gu technique and the Gu control technique. It was said that he once had the strength to fight against an Origin Emperor expert, but this had not been proven. However, there was no smoke without fire, so there had to be a certain level of strength involved. Seeing Yi Sui being killed, the 3 of them naturally became nervous. Immediately, a terrifying black insect barrier appeared in front of Li Zongjiu. Boom! Li Zongjiu did not care what kind of moves these people used. In front of him, it was just a matter of using his staff. The overbearing desolate heaven essence swept out. The power was like a waterfall that spread out horizontally, instantly sweeping away the power in front of him. Who? Li Zongjiu's strike had wiped out all the forces in front of him. Retreat. The three great elders had already made up their minds long ago. They directly rushed into the distance. At this moment, their bodies suddenly exploded in the air. Terrifying power continuously surged out from their bodies and rushed in all directions. Such power directly turned into countless flying insects and flew out. In fact, the people who raised these insects did not have many tricks up their sleeves. Other than gathering the bugs to attack you, you can also turn into a bug and escape. It was extremely boring. Where do you think you're going? With a casual wave of Li Zongjiu's hand, the black dazzle fire immediately swept forward like a terrifying flame. The moment the flames spread out, they immediately devoured the poisonous insects that filled the sky. Clearly, these three people were not among the poisonous insects. When he turned his head, he happened to see three figures heading towards the middle reaches mountain. They have already split up, but they are still walking together. What kind of IQ is this? Li Zongjiu was also amused by the actions of these people in front of him. However, from the looks of it, these three people were deliberately luring Li Zongjiu to go forward. If it were an ordinary person, they would consider whether this was a trap. Their intentions were so obvious. However, in front of Li Zongjiu, even if they knew it was a trap, it did not matter at all. After all, he had gone through countless difficult and dangerous situations alone. Without saying a word, Li Zongjiu's body flashed and chased after the three people. In the city, Tian Fei was also fighting against the body gu expert. It was Tian Fei's first time facing such an opponent, so the pressure on him was doubled. However, after familiarizing himself with the opponent, Tian Fei was able to stabilize the situation in front of him. It was only a matter of time before he could turn the tables. After familiarizing himself with the opponent's tactics, he would have no chance at all. Zheng Yonghui and the others were also immersed in the tense battle. They were not worried about Li Zongjiu chasing after the three people alone. After all, Li Zongjiu only looked a little young, but in fact, he was very strong. He could no longer be regarded as a teenager, but a real expert. Naturally, there was nothing to worry about. Boom! Li Zongjiu chased after the three people and disappeared into the middle reaches mountain. When Li Zongjiu approached the middle reaches mountain, he immediately felt a bleak and cold wind. It seemed that a cold wind was blowing in the surroundings. Li Zongjiu, you really have the guts to chase after us. Li Zongjiu's body landed in the forest, and a sinister voice immediately came from the surroundings. This voice did not belong to any of the three people just now. Most importantly, this person actually knew his name. You guys have guts too. Li Zongjiu looked around. It was pitch black. Even the three elders who had chased after him had disappeared. It was obvious that they had been prepared for this. In the Sacred Flame Royal City, you spoiled my plans time and time again. Now, we'll settle the old and new grudges together. The owner of the voice seemed to have a carefree feeling, as if he had long been gnashing his teeth at Li Zongjiu and wanted to kill him. However, Li Zongjiu had been hiding in the Sacred Flame Royal City during that time. They did not have a good opportunity to directly kill Li Zongjiu. Now that Li Zongjiu had personally appeared, it was just as well. They would deal with Li Zongjiu first. Originally, this Poison Kingdom array was prepared for the 8 Banners soldiers. Since you're here first, you can enjoy it first. When the voice sounded, Li Zongjiu suddenly realized that the ground under his feet was constantly becoming soft, and the surrounding soil was also wriggling. Then, some tiny poisonous insects continuously crawled out from under the ground. If an ordinary person saw this scene, they would have fainted from fright. Just the appearance of these insects, which covered the entire mountain, was enough to make one's scalp go numb. The so-called Poison Kingdom array was naturally the appearance of a huge number of poisonous insects. The scenes that Li Zongjiu had seen before were many times more tragic than the countless poisonous bugs before his eyes. These mere poisonous bugs could be stomped down with just a lift of his foot. Boom! The ground shook, and at the same time, a terrifying flame swept out. It directly burned all the insects in the surroundings until there was nothing left. The air was filled with the smell of burning insects, which was fascinating. You want a set of infinite great formation? Are you qualified? Li Zongjiu immediately snorted, and his eyes were filled with iciness. These people before him wanted to use this energy cycle to continuously pour blood into the array. However, these people had obviously schemed against the wrong person. Countless poisonous insects crawled out from under the ground once again. Mountain flipping golden seal. Chapter 737. Inside Cerulean Wave Giant City. Zheng Haoren was leading his Zheng family's guards to kill some poisonous insects. Moreover, these poisonous insects were extremely fast and had great destructive power. It would not be easy to kill them. The city guards also joined forces to kill the army of poisonous insects in front of them. Whoosh! Zheng Haoren was suddenly blocked by a huge mantis-like thing in front of him. The mantis immediately swung its two sickle-like arms and sent Zheng Haoren flying. Bang! Young master, be careful. The guards around him exclaimed and immediately rushed toward Zheng Haoren, but they were directly chopped into pieces by the mantis sickle. Puff! Damn it! Zheng Haoren's men were immediately killed. Just as the mantis monster was about to kill them with its sickle. Suddenly, he saw a firefly-like light flying towards the praying mantis monster in front of him to kill it. Bang! The mantis monster was hit by the firefly and its body suddenly stiffened. After a second, it seemed like a flame was emitted from its body and its body was directly melted. Damn it, what kind of technique is this? Zheng Haoren was stunned by this scene. Then, he turned around and saw that in the originally dark alley, hundreds or even thousands of fireflies like the one just now gradually appeared. Under these fireflies, a tall and slender woman slowly walked out. These fireflies floating in the air were all flying insects. Who are you? Seeing the person in front of him, Zheng Haoren could not help but be shocked because he had never seen this person before. She had such a mysterious technique and appeared at such a critical time. There must be something fishy. Zheng Haoren had been in Cerulean Wave Giant City for so long, but he had never seen this person before. Go and tell everyone that no one is allowed to go near Mount Zhongyou. The woman said with a clear voice. At the same time, there was a feeling of endless buzzing in his ears, as if she had taken away Zheng Haoren's soul in an instant. Who are you? Why should I listen to you? When Zheng Haoren heard this, it was obvious that there was a problem. Who exactly was this person? The woman didn't say anything else. She waved her hand, and the fireflies behind her flew into the distance. Boom! These fireflies flew directly to every corner of the city. Then, large-scale explosions occurred in many corners of the city. Rumble! Just this one move was enough to kill a large number of poisonous insects. Before the shock on Zheng Haoren's face faded, he saw a small musical instrument appear in the woman's hand. It looked like an egg. He placed it in front of his mouth and gently blew on it, causing a ripple. Buzz! The strange sound immediately attracted those poisonous insects. After attracting the attention of these poisonous insects, they actually formed a group and walked towards the bonfire. Hiss, you can actually control these poisonous insects. Just who are you? The Southern Border Poison Sect expert, who was fighting with Tian Fei in the city, suddenly stopped when he heard the strange sound. There seemed to be a trace of horror on his face. Tian Fei saw the change in the man's expression. He couldn't help but be startled. This guy seemed to have seen something extremely terrifying. Immediately, with a loud bang, this person flew up from the spot and flew towards the sky. Boom! After the mysterious woman in the alley sensed the movement of the southern border poison sect expert, a trace of indifference flashed in her eyes. Where do you think you're going? Immediately, the woman's body also leaped and rushed forward. Swoosh! She directly chased after the man who was escaping. The direction that the man was escaping in was also the direction of Mount Zhongyo. As the two people left giant cerulean wave city, the poisonous insects in the city also began to retreat. Zheng Haoren felt like he was in a dream as he looked at the situation in front of him. Who was the woman who could control the fireflies? Her method seemed to be able to control the poisonous insects. Could this woman also be a member of the Southern Border Poison sect? Otherwise, how could she have such an unfathomable method? People who saw it were amazed and didn't dare to believe it. This was clearly a method that only the Southern Border Poison sect could use. But no matter what, the woman's appearance had saved his life. Moreover, she seemed to be very powerful. Mount Zhongyo. I have a feeling that something extraordinary is going to happen. The poisonous insects in the city quickly retreated. Zheng Haoren, Zheng Yonghui, and the others also gathered. Tian Fei also didn't stay with Zheng Yonghui and the others for long. After knowing that Li Zongjiu was chasing towards Mount Zhongyo, he also quickly set off and headed towards Mount Zhongyo. Originally, Zheng Yonghui and the others also wanted to chase Li Zongjiu to Mount Zhongyo. However, Zheng Haoren stopped him. Let's not talk about the unpredictable dangers in Mount Zhongyo. There are some problems in the city that we must take advantage of tonight to solve. Zheng Haoren said. Zheng Yonghui naturally understood Zheng Haoren's meaning. He didn't want to go to Mount Zhongyo for the time being. Who knew what kind of situation had gathered in Mount Zhongyo? Let's destroy the Yang family first. That bastard, does he really think that he can be evenly matched with my Zheng family? Zheng Yonghui made a prompt decision. If they didn't solve Yang Xiao's problem tonight, who knew what Yang Xiao would do tomorrow? Therefore, Zheng Yonghui directly led his men and charged towards the Yang family. Mount Zhongyo. Li Zongjiu had already exterminated over 100 waves of poisonous insects. His hand movements were also constantly repeating the same actions. However, these poisonous insects seemed to be endless. However, Li Zongjiu wasn't anxious. Even if you used yuan stones to create a large array, there would still be a time when the yuan qi would be exhausted. Li Zongjiu wanted to see how capable these people were. On Mount Zhongyo, several figures were hiding in a cave. That cave was also constantly emitting sounds of tremors. Sect leader, what should we do? The poisonous insects that we have painstakingly accumulated are almost all being killed by this kid. Anyone who had been doing this for such a long time would have already broken down. Perhaps when they found out that there was no way to escape, they would already be worried that something would happen to them. That was why they couldn't escape. The most terrifying thing was that they couldn't distinguish between reality and illusion. Slowly, their willpower would be worn down. However, it seemed that the amount of poisonous insects they had stored wouldn't be able to last until then. How can this be? These resurrection insects can continuously be reborn from corpses. How can they all be killed? The poison sect leader had two great protectors, the left protector Wang Shui and the right protector Han Mei. Both of them were experts in body gu techniques. They didn't know much about raising gu techniques. Hearing the left protector Wang Shui's question, the elder in charge of raising the insects quivered. This was common knowledge. Logically speaking, everyone should know this. However, Protector Wang Shui just had to ask. He was powerful. If there was something that he didn't know, then it was definitely his fault. There was no doubt about it. He killed too quickly. The poison sect leader said. Previously, he had been sitting on the ground with his eyes closed. However, he was actually communicating with his insects. The resurrection of the resurrection insects needs time. However, this Li Zongjiu is killing them too quickly. These resurrection insects can't accumulate enough energy. They will become weaker and weaker. In the end, they will approach death. The resurrection time will become longer and longer. Then I will go down with Han Mei and kill him. Wang Shui said. In fact, Wang Shui didn't agree to place all their hopes on these insects. These insects were just tools to increase their strength. Anyone who cultivated body refinement Gu techniques also thought so. There's no time. The people from the tribe are here. I saw Zhang Biao's figure among the insects in the city. Chapter 738. Zhang Biao. When they heard this name, everyone present was shocked. At this moment, they even felt a sense of suffocation. It was as if a terrifying creature had appeared in front of them. It was as if it was using this method to let them know fear. Just a name was enough to make these people, who were numb to killing, feel fear. This showed how terrifying Zhang Biao's strength was. Among the tribes of Nanjiang, the true tribes were a very large group. However, these people lived in seclusion deep in the mountains and never came out. They were a group of people who were unique. Zhang Biao was the granddaughter of this tribe's chief. She was also the most monstrous genius in the Nanjiang tribe in the past 1,000 years. She was only 20 years old, but she was already able to cultivate the Gu technique to perfection. Moreover, because of her terrifying talent, Zhang Biao could even communicate with other people's insects. She was practically the nemesis of this tribe's people. The insects that you painstakingly raised for many years would be controlled by Zhang Biao in the blink of an eye. They had such a terrifying ability. It was said that as early as 5 years ago, Zhang Biao had already formed a contract with one of the tribe's 3 great saint insects, the immortal firefly. She had obtained the approval of this firefly that had lived for tens of thousands of years. Although Zhang Biao had been hiding her strength for many years, after all, Zhang Biao's ability was very terrifying. However, Zhang Biao could also use her strength in the right place. For example, hunting down people like them who were separated from the tribe. This group of people from Nanjiang's poison sect were also people who escaped from the Nanjiang tribe. They clearly had such heaven-defying abilities, but they had to stay in the mountains and rivers. Wasn't it a waste? Therefore, these people wanted to use their abilities to make a name for themselves. Those trash from Qingyuan Manor still haven't killed this woman. The poison sect's leader wanted to slap his thigh. It was Li Zongjiu's arrival that delayed their plans. Otherwise, the 400,000 soldiers of the 8 Banners army and the people in Jade Wave Giant City would be enough to raise an extremely powerful poisonous insect. At that time, there would be nothing to be afraid of in this world. Even if Qingyuan Manor didn't like the look of it, they could directly wipe it out. That was how arrogant and overbearing they were. However, this seemed to be very difficult to achieve. The ruler of the Poison Kingdom has already awakened. Without a large amount of food to eat, it will not be long before the ruler of the Poison Kingdom continues to fall into a deep slumber. Han Mei said in a deep voice. Then, he looked at the poison sect leader. Sect master, let the 2 of us attack first. Let's kill Li Zongjiu. As for Zhang Biao, I'll deal with her slowly after absorbing Li Zongjiu's power. Hearing Han Mei's words, the poison sect master's heart calmed down. Now that things have come to this, this is the only way. Everyone, tonight will be the most difficult night. If we can get through it, a kingdom of poisonous insects will appear in the Shengyan dynasty tomorrow. The hierarch's words stirred everyone's hearts. Apart from him and the 2 guardians, no one else was present. The 3 elders who had escaped from Li Zongjiu's pursuit, as well as the 5 elders who were controlling the array, were constantly attacking to maintain the power of the array. There were a total of 8 people. As for the body Gu expert who had fought with Tian Fei, he did not seem to be able to return safely to the Middle Reaches Mountains. Inside the array, Li Zongjiu patiently waved the desolate heaven essence in his hand. With each swing, the power of the desolate heaven essence swept away a large number of poisonous insects in front of him. There are only these insects coming and going, and their numbers are decreasing. Can you do it? Li Zongjiu asked as he looked into the depths of the array. Clearly, Li Zongjiu had already seen through the flaws. However, Li Zongjiu was good at making his enemies die in despair. Since this was the method that they were most proud of, then Li Zongjiu would show them the method that they were so proud of. In front of Li Zongjiu, they were trash. Therefore, Li Zongjiu was not in a hurry. Wanting to die. Isn't that an easy thing to do? Just as Li Zongjiu finished speaking, a figure appeared on the ground in front of him along with the insects that were constantly emerging. His hands were hugging his chest as he was gradually pushed up by the insects below. After getting up, he looked at Li Zongjiu with a self-righteous gaze, imagining how Li Zongjiu would die in front of him in a moment. Trampling on these experts was also a very satisfying thing. For the two of you, it should be relatively easy. Li Zongjiu said indifferently. Wang Shui's expression changed when he heard this. This kid had actually sensed Han Mei's existence. Han Mei had yet to reveal himself and was hiding in the dark. Since the two guardians' main task was to protect the sect leader, they needed to ensure their own concealment in this environment. Die, no one can stop my southern border poison sect. Wang Shui said coldly as he stretched out his hands. They were no longer the hands of a normal human, but more like the hands of some kind of insect, with densely packed barbs on them. His back also shook violently as a few spider legs grew out of it. Li Zongjiu saw the spider legs growing out of Wang Shui's back. Are people nowadays so desperate to make themselves like this for the sake of cultivation? Seeing Wang Shui's appearance, Li Zongjiu felt that Wang Shui was a little pitiful. He actually had to use such a method to cultivate. Was it so difficult to become strong? Couldn't he be like Li Zongjiu, who could easily and casually cultivate and become so strong? Taste my cloud spider spikes. Wang Shui roared. The two spider legs on his back fiercely bounced off the ground, and then his whole body soared into the air. He rushed towards Li Zongjiu. His speed was extremely fast. It was as if he had been kicked by someone. When Wang Shui rushed over, the spider legs on his back suddenly extended to the front. A terrifying and sharp aura had already locked onto Li Zongjiu, making him unable to move. Bam! Li Zongjiu raised his hand and smashed down with his staff. The domineering power of the desolate heaven essence directly broke Wang Shui's spider legs. Ah! Wang Shui immediately let out a heart-wrenching scream. The two spider legs were equivalent to two bones in Wang Shui's body, and they were extremely important bones. Of course, it was a scream. After Li Zongjiu broke two of Wang Shui's bones, a cold wind came from behind him. When he turned back to look, he saw a fist coming at him. Immediately, Li Zongjiu raised his hand and struck out with his palm. The power in his body rapidly spread out from his palm. Bam! Han Mei's body automatically released a stream of cold air to resist the attack. Boom! Han Mei's body landed on the ground and immediately retreated a few steps. When Han Mei was shocked by Li Zongjiu's power, he saw the desolate heaven essence in Li Zongjiu's hand, which was glowing with light, smashed Wang Shui's head. A headless corpse fell to the ground. Wang Shui was only a peak Yuan monarch. However, because he was proficient in the body venomous insect technique, he was a bodyguard at all times. In fact, these people from the southern border poison sect were not so weak. However, in front of Li Zongjiu's power, there was really nothing that could resist him. How many people could withstand his staff? Sai, you have worked so hard to cultivate for half your life, yet you ended up in this state. Is it worth it? Li Zongjiu could not help but sigh. He seemed to sympathize with Wang Shui's situation. Then, he turned to look at Protector Han Mei, who had been sent flying by him. Chapter 739. When Han Mei saw Li Zongjiu's eyes, he felt a chill in his heart. From Li Zongjiu's eyes, Han Mei could already see his miserable end. Wang Shui was actually killed so easily. He couldn't believe his eyes. Could he die so carelessly? He didn't even see how Li Zongjiu did it. You! What kind of monster are you? Han Mei looked at Li Zongjiu, his voice trembling. Before Li Zongjiu could say anything, a firefly's light suddenly appeared behind Han Mei. When Li Zongjiu saw the firefly's light, he frowned. The power contained in the firefly's light was not simple. Although it was small, it was a terrifying existence. The terrifying quality was not something an ordinary person could achieve. What is it? When Han Mei saw the firefly floating in front of him, he immediately slapped it impatiently. Bang! Han Mei wanted to slap the firefly away, but the power of the firefly exploded and broke Han Mei's hand. Bang! Han Mei! I'm here to capture you. Do you want to go back with me, or do you want me to destroy your cultivation and bring you back? A cold voice sounded. Li Zongjiu saw a tall lady appear from within the black fog. Wherever this lady passed by, the poisonous insects on the ground would swiftly open up a path for her, automatically retreating. It could be seen that this was the spontaneous behavior of the poisonous insects. The woman didn't use any tricks to force them back. Interesting. What Li Zongjiu cared about was not the tall figure of the woman in front of him, but the power in her body. Zhang Biao. When Han Mei saw Zhang Biao, she screamed as if she had seen a devil. She didn't even notice that her voice had become sharp at this moment. Zhang Biao looked at Han Mei, and when she saw Li Zongjiu in the distance and the desolate heaven essence in Li Zongjiu's hand, she became alert. After all, the aura released by Li Zongjiu made Zhang Biao feel threatened. Therefore, she focused her attention on Li Zongjiu. Zhang Biao. Li Zongjiu looked at the woman in front of him in surprise. When he heard Han Mei's words, he immediately knew the identity of the woman in front of him. It was Zhang Biao, the future guardian of the southern border tribe. She was also a supreme being expert. It was said that this woman's ability was heaven-defying. Li Zongjiu, who had made a breakthrough in his cultivation, wanted to spar with this heaven-defying genius. However, Zhang Biao guarded the southern border tribe and didn't accept the challenge. The southern border tribe had always been under the protection of this woman, allowing them to survive. A supreme being expert 1,000 years later. Li Zongjiu and her had been friends for a long time. But today, they met at this moment. It was rare to meet someone that even Li Zongjiu was interested in and wanted to challenge. It was inevitable that his hands would itch. Who are you? Zhang Biao asked Li Zongjiu. Sunset City, Li Zongjiu. You are not a member of the southern border tribe. This matter has nothing to do with you. Leave quickly. Zhang Biao said indifferently. Sure enough, geniuses were all arrogant, but Li Zongjiu admired the arrogance of this outstanding person who was of the same age as him. In terms of momentum, Li Zongjiu could feel that Zhang Biao's strength was almost the same as his. Of course, if Li Zongjiu really wanted to fight, it would be very easy for him to kill Zhang Biao. However, Li Zongjiu's means were equivalent to cheating. With more than 3,000 years of experience, of course, he wouldn't be easily defeated by this little girl. It was already very good for Zhang Biao to have such a level of strength at such a young age. I'm afraid it's impossible for you to take him away. Today, he must die here. And you are also in cahoots with them, right? Zhang Biao looked at Li Zongjiu in front of her, who didn't hold back at all. Although she felt a trace of threat from Li Zongjiu, it didn't mean that Zhang Biao was afraid of the latter. If they really fought, both of them might not be able to defeat Zhang Biao. As a genius girl of the southern border tribe, Zhang Biao didn't put the so-called geniuses of the outside world in her eyes. The so-called geniuses were all vulnerable to her. Mind your own business. Either you leave by yourself, or I will drive you away. Zhang Biao said coldly. Zhang Biao wouldn't do such a thing if she wanted to kill someone. After all, she came out to bring these people back and hand them over to the tribe for trial. At the same time, the patriarch also told her not to hurt anyone in the Shen dynasty. If more people were to die, the situation might become even more complicated. I, Li Zongjiu, have lived for so long, and no one has ever been able to drive me away. You can try. Today, I, Li Zongjiu, will take the lives of these people. Li Zongjiu said indifferently. Some women have some ability, so they are incomparably arrogant. At this time, you have to show enough strength to let these women know who is the real strong, and then completely subdue them. Otherwise, they will not look at you in the eye for the rest of their lives. Hearing that Li Zongjiu actually dared to provoke Zhang Biao, Han Fei felt even more terrified. Even he felt that Li Zongjiu must be crazy. These people who practice Yuanli are really self-righteous. However, such a good opportunity made Han Fei think about when he could escape. With Li Zongjiu's strength, if he really fought with Zhang Biao, he could at least hold on for a few minutes. In these few minutes, Han Fei must escape. Arrogant. Zhang Biao could not be bothered to tangle with Li Zongjiu. She waved her hand and immediately 3 fireflies flew towards Li Zongjiu. The light from these fireflies made Li Zongjiu involuntarily reach out his hand. Clearly, the light from these fireflies had a bewitching effect. However, these small tricks were like showing off in front of an expert in front of Li Zongjiu. With a flick of his finger, his mental strength immediately attracted the 3 fireflies back. He turned around and flew back towards Zhang Biao. When Han Mei saw that the two of them were about to fight, he quickly turned around and jumped forward as if he was diving into the water. Trying to escape. Zhang Biao waved her hand and a long whip immediately wrapped around Han Fei's legs and pulled him towards Zhang Biao. Li Zongjiu gently waved the desolate heavenly essence in his hand and broke Zhang Biao's long whip. At the same time, his figure appeared beside Han Mei, grabbing Han Mei with one hand. Just as he was about to kill Han Fei, Zhang Biao detonated the 3 fireflies. Boom! The shockwaves from the explosion immediately engulfed Han Mei and Li Zongjiu. In this chaotic atmosphere, Li Zongjiu felt Zhang Biao's attack. Fall! Zhang Biao attacked with her palm, wanting to take down Li Zongjiu. However, when she appeared, she realized that Li Zongjiu's figure had already disappeared. The one who was left here was only a bait. What? He had actually deceived Zhang Biao. Not good. While watching, Zhang Biao heard a scream. When she turned around, she saw Li Zongjiu holding Han Fei's head with one hand. With a slight force, Han Fei's head was crushed. Pang! Han Fei's corpse fell to the ground powerlessly. To deal with these people, it was necessary to destroy their heads. Otherwise, they might crawl back up again at any time. All kinds of methods emerged one after another. One must be on guard. You're courting death. When Zhang Biao saw this scene, she felt that Li Zongjiu was clearly provoking her. He actually killed Han Fei in front of her. If that wasn't a provocation, what else could it be? The evil lord's way of doing things was unpredictable. After Li Zongjiu killed Han Fei, he quickly flew towards the mountain peak. The surrounding poisonous insects also quickly retreated. Obviously, these people were ready to escape. Chapter 740. Boom! Li Zongjiu's figure rushed out. Zhang Biao also followed closely behind. Since this person dared to kill the people of the southern tribe, he must give an explanation. Most importantly, in Zhang Biao's eyes, she would never allow anyone to challenge her dignity. Whoosh! Li Zongjiu used the hidden dragon skill. This mysterious body technique allowed Li Zongjiu's figure to appear and disappear in the forest like a flash. His speed was so fast that it was impossible to catch him. There was no pattern to it at all. What a fast body technique! Who is this guy? Zhang Biao found that she could not keep up with Li Zongjiu's rhythm. This could only mean that Li Zongjiu's speed was far above hers. He could easily control the rhythm, while her speed was far behind. She could only keep accelerating. Southern Border's poison sect's leader, Heavenly Demon He. In the cave, Heavenly Demon He glanced at the elders who were lying on the ground. Their strength had been sucked dry by Heavenly Demon He. It's useless to keep you now. When I become the world's supreme one day, I'll definitely confer your merits monument. The corners of Heavenly Demon He's mouth curled up slightly. Behind him, there was a transparent insect attached to his back. As the insect continued to move, Heavenly Demon He's aura also continued to strengthen. Heavenly Demon He was like a greedy beast that was enjoying the energy that was concentrated in its body. Gradually, its limbs began to stretch out. After such a long time, you've only accumulated so little energy. What a waste. Heavenly Demon He's face was a little ugly, because the energy absorbed by these people was too little compared to what he had expected. He had to speed up. The flesh and blood of ordinary people could no longer provide him with more powerful energy. He had to use the flesh and blood of some Yuanli experts to have a better power breakthrough. Wang Shui and Han Mei are both dead. Even the people who died in the formation had transferred their energy to Heavenly Demon He's body. Originally, the formation was used to increase Heavenly Demon He's strength, but now it seemed that it had no effect at all. Boom! Suddenly, a violent tremor came from outside the cave. Then, the mountain began to collapse. You're here. Then become a part of my flesh and blood. Heavenly Demon He rose from the ground. With a loud bang, he smashed through the roof of the cave and appeared in the sky above the Middle Reaches mountain. He happened to see Li Zongjiu, who was chasing after him. He was already in the air, waiting for Heavenly Demon He. You must be Li Zongjiu. He Tianma's figure was parallel to Li Zongjiu's. Only now did Zhang Biao's figure flash out and appear on the other side. Heavenly Devil He, you betrayed the tribe. Follow me back to confess your sins. Zhang Biao looked at Heavenly Demon He and said in a deep voice. There was a dignified look in her eyes. She did not even pay attention to Li Zongjiu, who provoked her just now. At this moment, all her attention was on Heavenly Demon He. Are you stupid? He just killed a few subordinates and absorbed their energy. Do you think he wants to go back to confess his sins? Li Zongjiu said. His words were obviously mocking Zhang Biao. When Zhang Biao heard that, of course, she wanted to die on the spot. How could she not know? But they did things according to procedures. They could not be killed or beaten as they pleased. Idiot, I don't need you to remind me. Zhang Biao said. Heavenly Demon He looked at the man and woman in front of him. Why don't you just get married on the spot? Are you here to catch me and kill me or just to quarrel? You were the one who saved Lei Gong last time, right? If you ask me, the people of Qingyuan Villa really deserve to die. Li Zongjiu said faintly to the person behind Heavenly Demon He. Zhang Biao looked at Li Zongjiu's actions. Who was this guy talking to? Could it be that he was mentally deranged? But soon, Zhang Biao realized that she was wrong. It turned out that there was someone behind Heavenly Demon He. It was just that at the beginning, Zhang Biao's attention was all on Heavenly Demon He. She did not notice the hidden primitive emperor expert. I should have killed you last time. How could I let you grow to this extent? A figure appeared behind Heavenly Demon He. It was as if he had torn the space directly. Last time outside the Sacred Flame Royal City, it was the person in front of her who saved Lei Gong, who was fighting Li Zongjiu that day. Otherwise, Lei Gong would not have been able to escape last time. Lei Gong, who was merely at the peak of the Yuan monarch realm, had wanted to find trouble with Li Zongjiu. Lei Gong really thought highly of himself. Now that he saw his old enemy, Li Zongjiu was especially happy. He had been afraid that this guy would die before Li Zongjiu could take revenge. Now, it seemed like he was not dead. You still have a chance this time. Li Zongjiu said. What he meant was that he was right in front of Luo Yunyang. If Luo Yunyang wanted to kill him, Luo Yunyang could do so. Of course, if you can return alive today, I, Bai Shiyan, will cripple my own cultivation. Bai Shiyan said slowly. His tone revealed his strong confidence. Last time, they were near the Sacred Flame Royal City. If he had taken action forcefully, it would have caused unnecessary trouble. The experts in the Sacred Flame Royal City were also quite troublesome for Bai Shiyan. Now, in the Middle Mountains outside the Azure Wave Colossal City. It could be said that he did not have to worry about that at all. At this moment, he could show off his skills and display the true power of an origin emperor. He could let a weak ant like Li Zongjiu know his identity and status, and that he could easily kill Li Zongjiu. Today, I will let you experience the majesty of a true origin emperor expert. As Bai Shiyan's voice faded, a terrifying aura burst out from his body, like a vast airwave, spreading in all directions. Rumble. Even the clouds in the sky seemed to be affected by this wave of air and were constantly rolling in all directions. The people in the Azure Wave Colossal City a few miles away also felt the aura of an origin emperor expert. Is that the aura of an origin emperor expert? Zheng Yonghui and the others stared in the direction of the Middle Mountains, their eyes revealing shock. Of course, they knew about the existence of an origin emperor expert, but the strength of such an expert was really too terrifying. They only knew a little about the power they possessed, and did not know what kind of existence they were. Even though they were thousands of meters away, they could still feel the power of the primitive emperor powerhouse on the Middle Reaches Mountain, which really surprised them. Even an origin emperor expert has been dispatched. Oh my god, even Fang Youji was surprised. It was very rare for an origin emperor expert to appear in Dingquan province, but it was a pity that this origin emperor expert was here to cause destruction. If Li Zongjiu and the others can't stop it, then our Azure Wave Colossal City will, Peng Shan said in a deep voice. Although it sounded a little disheartening, it was not unreasonable. Indeed, if Li Zongjiu and the others could not stop it, then their Azure Wave Colossal City would suffer the same fate. Damn it! Zheng Yonghui stomped his foot, there was no other way at the moment. If an origin emperor expert went berserk, then no one could stop it. Now, they could only prepare for the worst. Tonight was supposed to be a night of victory, but the appearance of an origin emperor expert made the atmosphere in the Azure Wave Colossal City extremely oppressive. Now that the Yang family was annihilated, the crisis had yet to be resolved. They had to wait until Li Zongjiu eliminated the origin emperor expert. But could an origin emperor expert be defeated? Perhaps Li Zongjiu had already run away. Chapter 741. Zhang Biao's expression was extremely solemn. Heavenly Demon, he was already an origin emperor expert, and now he had another origin emperor expert as his helper. If she came alone, she might have to return empty-handed. Now, she looked at Li Zongjiu. If you can run away, you'd better run away quickly. Zhang Biao glanced at Li Zongjiu. This is my Nanjiang tribe's matter, I don't want to involve you. Although Li Zongjiu had killed the people of the southern tribe, it could be said that he had helped her solve a problem. Now, the problem was even bigger. Zhang Biao also persuaded. Now, it was no longer a joke. There's no need to leave. Today, the two of you came to me voluntarily. Zhang Biao, I have long wanted to experience your power. Heavenly Demon, he said coldly. Immediately, a huge white bone rake appeared in Heavenly Demon He's hand. The white bone rake in his hand looked extremely terrifying. Most importantly, there was a terrifying poison in the rake. If one was hit by the rake, not only would they lose a piece of flesh, they would also be poisoned. By then, it would be too late. The poison would soon enter the bone marrow. Even if it was exposed to the air, it would still be a terrifying aura. Pick one. Li Zongjiu stretched his body and said to Zhang Biao beside him. In the face of a great enemy, the two of them could not help but form an alliance. At least in Zhang Biao's view, the current situation was like this. Bai Shiyan wanted Li Zongjiu's life, and Heavenly Demon he wanted to kill Zhang Biao. Zhang Biao also wanted to capture Heavenly Demon he. Only Li Zongjiu wanted to kill Heavenly Demon he and Bai Shiyan. Therefore, it did not matter who Zhang Biao chose, the two of them would die anyway. You'd better hold on a little longer, so that I can come and save you. Zhang Biao glanced at Li Zongjiu, and the long whip in her hand glowed with a fluorescent light as it swept towards Heavenly Demon he. Whoosh! As the long whip swung, it immediately swept out a gust of wind. Heavenly Demon he waved the white bone rake in his hand, setting off several fierce gusts of wind that dispersed the long whip. Soul-severing slash! Heavenly Demon he shouted. Suddenly, a terrifying power seemed to be drawn from the heaven and earth, but in fact, this power was drawn from the great formation on the middle mountain. It was unknown how much effort was expended to set up such a large array. Naturally, it could not be wasted so easily. Moreover, it was also quite useful. The soul-severing slash was executed. Zhang Biao knew its power, and did not dare to resist it. With a wave of his hand, he summoned dozens of fireflies, and the fireflies flew into the distance. Boom! An earth-shattering explosion took place at this moment. Following the appearance of the explosion, Bai Shiyan also made his move. To deal with Li Zongjiu, Bai Shiyan did not even need to release the power of his Yuan spirit, and could easily kill Li Zongjiu. After all, Li Zongjiu was beaten by him last time, and could even be said to have barely survived. Although only a few months had passed, could it be that his cultivation had advanced by leaps and bounds, as if he had eaten an immortal elixir? He only needed to casually attack to kill the former ant in front of him. One move is enough to kill you. Heavenly flames destroy the world. Bai Shiyan growled. Between his palms, a terrifying fire attribute Yuanli immediately burst out. The Yuanli intertwined between his palms, and immediately released an extremely terrifying aura. Boom! A streak of fiery light could be clearly seen within a radius of 100 miles. It appeared like a small sun. This terrifying ring of fire immediately swept towards Li Zongjiu. In the face of this terrifying ring of fire, Li Zongjiu was extremely calm. He slightly lowered the desolate heaven essence in his hand. The domineering power from the desolate heaven essence directly shattered the ring of fire. Immediately, like a broken fireball, the energy constantly spread in all directions. You can actually break my move. While Bai Shiyan was still in shock, he saw a figure breaking through the flames and smashing towards him with a stick. Immediately, Bai Shiyan circulated his Yuanli to resist. However, when this staff fell, it also directly hit Bai Shiyan's original spirit out of his body. Boom! Bai Shiyan could already withstand the power of the desolate heaven essence from a few meters away. It was like a terrifying mountain came crashing down, causing Bai Shiyan to be completely shocked. At the same time, before he could react, he was sent flying by Li Zongjiu's stick. His entire body crashed into the ground with a bang. A huge cloud of dust was stirred up. Li Zongjiu instantly chased after him, the desolate heaven essence in his hand smashing down once again. Boom! The continuous bombardment caused a terrifying power to spread. It was even enough to cause the middle reaches mountains to collapse. Zhang Biao did not expect Li Zongjiu to be so ferocious in battle. In just a few moves, he had actually smashed Bai Shiyan to the ground. Such a turn of events was something she did not expect. Take care of yourself first, genius girl. Heavenly Demon he laughed. The feeling of having a breakthrough in strength was too exhilarating for Heavenly Demon he. As he moved, his every move had an earth-shattering destructive power. The white bone rake in his hand released endless power. It constantly tore apart the space in front of Zhang Biao. Zhang Biao also retreated repeatedly. How can the light of a firefly compete with the brilliance of my bright moon? Ha! heavenly demon He's power was in a frenzy. As he chased, he unknowingly left a certain range. Zhang Biao's figure was high up in the sky. Chapter 742. Middle reaches mountain. Li Zongjiu looked at the flame-devouring tiger in front of him. It was indeed ferocious. The terrifying aura it emitted was enough to incinerate the heavens and earth. You almost failed miserably. Kid, you won't have another chance. Bai Shiyan almost couldn't catch his breath. Bai Shiyan was considered lucky to be able to recover. If Li Zongjiu had cut the Gordian knot and killed him, he wouldn't have been able to recover. Now that Li Zongjiu had given him a chance to catch his breath, Bai Shiyan naturally had to thank Li Zongjiu. Roar! The flame-devouring tiger also spread its wings and spat out a terrifying flame. It spread forward. Boom! The flame attacked Li Zongjiu. Li Zongjiu wasn't afraid and rushed towards the flame. His body was covered in a golden light. Wang! Mountain-flipping golden seal. When Li Zongjiu rushed to the flame-devouring tiger's side, he used the mountain-flipping golden seal to flip the flame-devouring tiger to the ground. Bang! The flame-devouring tiger fell to the side with a bang. Its body flickered with light. At this moment, it was severely injured. How is this possible? Bai Shiyan was connected to the flame-devouring tiger by blood. When he felt the shock, he was extremely shocked. Looking at Li Zongjiu's figure, he leaped up again. The desolate heaven essence appeared in his hand. Bai Shiyan also quickly released his Yuan power. Grade 6 Yuan skill, White Brilliance World Annihilation. Bai Shiyan's eyes were also bloodshot. His eyeballs seemed to be about to pop out of their sockets. His body seemed to have transformed into a terrifying ray of light as he rushed towards Li Zongjiu. The people in Cerulean Wave Giant City seemed to have seen a scorching sun appear in the middle of the night. Moreover, the surrounding temperature was constantly rising. This also allowed the people of Cerulean Wave Giant City to feel the strength of the Yuan Emperor powerhouse. If the Yuan Emperor powerhouse were to fight in the city, Cerulean Wave Giant City would have been destroyed. What's the situation on the Middle Reaches Mountain? Zheng Yonghui and the others were naturally nervous. This was a matter of life and death for Cerulean Wave Giant City. However, in the face of such a crisis, they didn't have any chance to take action. It was indeed worrisome for them. Golden Dragon Yuan Spirit. Li Zongjiu did not dare to be careless. The Golden Dragon Yuan Spirit seemed to have turned into a golden armor and landed on Li Zongjiu's body's body. At this moment, the Golden Dragon Spirits. The Golden Dragon Spirit. 2. The Golden Dragon Spirit. To take it of golden to take. Ofs 2. Even with his strong defense, it was difficult to withstand the scorching heat. Li Zongjiu immediately felt that his skin was burning fiercely at this moment. Let's see how long you can hold on. When Bai Shiyan sensed Li Zongjiu's resistance, he frantically poured out the Yuan power in his body, preparing to completely incinerate Li Zongjiu in such an arrogant manner. Boom! Li Zongjiu stepped back, the Golden Dragon Yuan Spirit's armor protecting his body. The Blood Dragon Yuan Spirit in his body was ready to rush out to protect its master, but it was forcibly suppressed by Li Zongjiu in his body. I can use this flame to break through. In the face of such a dangerous situation, Li Zongjiu did not hesitate. The ancient golden body was constantly absorbing the power that poured into his body. The scorching power surged into Li Zongjiu's body, almost instantly burning the skin on his body. All that was left on his arm were white bones. Even for Li Zongjiu, it was his first time experiencing this. The result of his skin being burned alive immediately made Li Zongjiu feel so painful that he wished he was dead. However, the ancient tyrant golden body art continued to heal the injuries on his body. At the same time, his burnt body was also recovering at a crazy speed. In the process of recovery, the skin that grew naturally became stronger. The scorching heat lasted for a full minute. The yuan power in Bai Shiyan's body could no longer support such a big move. Even a third-grade primitive emperor wouldn't be able to withstand this move. Logically speaking, Li Zongjiu should have been burned to ashes within a minute. However, when Bai Shiyan helplessly withdrew his yuan power, Li Zongjiu stood on the spot, gasping for breath. The golden light on his body was dim, flickering as if he could not hold on any longer. Li Zongjiu, who was breathing in and out, was extremely inconceivable to Bai Shiyan. How is this possible? You are actually still alive. Bai Shiyan's eyes widened as he looked at Li Zongjiu. No more moves. Then go to hell. As his voice fell, Li Zongjiu's figure suddenly appeared in front of Bai Shiyan. Bai Shiyan cried out in alarm. He had already seen Li Zongjiu raise his hand, and his fist was ready to fall. He reacted quickly and wanted to block this move, so he immediately put his hands in front of his body to block. However, when Li Zongjiu's fist came out, it was like a sharp sword that instantly pierced through Bai Shiyan's folded hands, and directly pierced through Bai Shiyan's chest. Bai Shiyan stared blankly at Li Zongjiu, who was so close to him. A few months ago, Li Zongjiu was just an ant-like existence in Bai Shiyan's eyes. Bai Shiyan could even look at Li Zongjiu with contempt, and could easily kill Li Zongjiu. And now, Li Zongjiu had directly pierced through his chest. One could clearly feel that Bai Shiyan's life force had been completely taken away by Li Zongjiu. This is impossible. Bai Shiyan did not believe his eyes, and did not dare to believe that he was really going to die now. One should know that he had spent a lot of effort to cultivate to the Origin Emperor realm, and had gone through a lot of hardships along the way to reach this step. Now, he was killed by Li Zongjiu before he could complete his grand plan of unifying the world, and died in the wilderness. I never thought that I, Bai Shiyan, who had lived a glorious life, would end up, bang. In the next moment, Li Zongjiu directly tore Bai Shiyan into two halves. Li Zongjiu did not give Bai Shiyan any time to finish his words. So much nonsense. Li Zongjiu wiped his hands with the blood on his body. The harvest of this breakthrough is really not small. Li Zongjiu could not help but sigh. Now, just the strength of his body could penetrate the defense of an Origin Emperor expert. Who would dare to approach Li Zongjiu? With such a close distance, one's fist would definitely turn them into ashes. It was also because of Bai Shiyan's terrifying attack that such an effect could be achieved. For Li Zongjiu, such a move was indeed a little scary. If he was not careful, he would really be burned into ashes. Fortunately, Li Zongjiu was able to hold on in the end. He took away Bai Shiyan's storage ring. Qingyuan Mountain Villa, these trash. This time, I'll just get rid of you. When he found out that the Qingyuan Villa was cooperating with the poison sect of the southern region, he wasn't surprised at all. It was no wonder that the poison sect of the southern region dared to run around the Qingyuan Villa's territory in his previous life. He raised his head and looked at the sky. There was also a fluctuation in the sky, but Zhang Biao and He Tianma were not there. Because the two of them were now in Zhang Biao's domain. There was a sudden fluctuation in the space. Boom! He Tianma finally rushed out of Zhang Biao's domain. A blood-red figure soared into the sky. Zhang Biao's body was also suddenly sent flying. Obviously, she had also suffered serious injuries in the battle just now. Damn it! He Tianma finally escaped the domain power with great difficulty. His body was also extremely weak. He wanted to kill Zhang Biao, but found that Bai Shiyan was already dead. Below, there was Li Zongjiu eyeing covetously, so he naturally did not dare to delay. Chapter 743. That guy was actually killed by this guy. Zhang Biao looked at Li Zongjiu in shock. Now that Bai Shiyan's corpse had fallen on Zhongyou Mountain, Li Zongjiu was floating in the air unscathed. Furthermore, he seemed to be in a good condition, which shocked Zhang Biao even more. In Zhang Biao's opinion, it was already very difficult for Li Zongjiu to hold out against Bai Shiyan, but now Li Zongjiu actually killed Bai Shiyan. Even Zhang Biao found it hard to believe that he had such strength. At this moment, looking at Heavenly Demon He, who was about to escape, a trace of unwillingness arose in her heart. This time, Heavenly Demon He had found an opportunity. If he wanted to capture Heavenly Demon He would have to recover his strength first. Otherwise, he would not have the chance to kill Heavenly Demon He. Now that he had managed to injure Heavenly Demon He with great difficulty, if he were to let this guy escape, who knew when he would be able to capture him again? She was extremely unwilling. Zhang Biao, the next time we meet, I will definitely suck your blood dry. Heavenly Demon He spread his wings in the air. When did a pair of wings grow on his back? He directly carried Heavenly Demon He into the sky. Boom! However, Heavenly Demon He forgot to ask Li Zongjiu if he wanted to leave. Hidden Dragon Art. Li Zongjiu's figure flickered and appeared beside Heavenly Demon He. When did I say that you can leave? He kicked Heavenly Demon He's face. Heavenly Demon He was about to turn around and fly into the sky, but his head fell down from the kick. Whoosh! Finally, Heavenly Demon He's body fell to the ground with a bang. Seeing Li Zongjiu make a move, Zhang Biao was more or less relieved. At least, Li Zongjiu would not let Heavenly Demon He escape. Even if it was just a little delay, it would be a very good opportunity for Zhang Biao. Zhang Biao immediately swallowed an elixir and began to heal herself. Boy, there is a deep hatred between you and me. After landing, Heavenly Demon He finally reacted. After smashing a rock, he turned over and stared at Li Zongjiu, who was slowly landing in front of him. At the same time, he glanced at Zhang Biao, who was not far away. Heavenly Demon He could not help but feel nervous when he saw that Zhang Biao was recovering her strength. If he were to fall into the hands of this brat in the end, he would be extremely unwilling. Heavenly Demon He wanted to use his silver tongue to keep Li Zongjiu under control, and then find a chance to leave. It's not a deep hatred, Li Zongjiu said. Heavenly Demon He was stunned when he heard Li Zongjiu's words. What did he mean? If it was not a deep hatred, then why did he work so hard? Li Zongjiu had gone against the poison sect of the southern region in every way he could. It could be said that the poison sect of the southern region had been destroyed by Li Zongjiu. After so many years of planning, sacrificing so many people, and taking such a big risk, it was still destroyed by Li Zongjiu. He was really fucking ruthless. Therefore, Heavenly Demon He was quite angry and unhappy. At the same time, he was very puzzled. I just want you to get rid of you, that's all, Li Zongjiu said indifferently. He gave a more shocking reason to Heavenly Demon He. I just want to kill you. Li Zongjiu's reason was too capricious. Immediately, Heavenly Demon He was enraged. Did Li Zongjiu have to kill so many of his subordinates just because of a few words? Now, he was forced into such a situation. For Heavenly Demon He, most of the reason for this was Li Zongjiu. Otherwise, he would have refined the 400,000 8-banner soldiers tonight. Even if Zhang Biao came, she would not have been able to return. How could he have fallen into such a situation? He was completely destroyed by Li Zongjiu. Everything was turned upside down. You. Are you looking down on me, Heavenly Demon He? As Heavenly Demon He spoke, there was a hint of madness in his eyes. He stared at Li Zongjiu in front of him, as if he could not wait to eat Li Zongjiu clean. After all, he was an primitive emperor expert. Now that he was facing Li Zongjiu, he naturally had means to let Li Zongjiu know his power. I'm sorry, you are worse than that guy from before. Li Zongjiu put away the desolate heaven essence in his hand. Against Heavenly Demon He, there was no need to use such a divine weapon. The main reason was that he had tempered his body, making Li Zongjiu even stronger. At the same time, he wanted to test how strong he was. You want to kill me? I'm afraid you are not qualified. Heavenly Demon, he roared angrily as he took out the white bone rake once again. There were originally 9 teeth on the white bone rake, but now, there were only 3 left. Clearly, Zhang Biao had shattered 3 of them in the battle just now. Immediately, the white bone rake smashed into the ground with a loud bang. Boom! A crack appeared on the ground beneath Li Zongjiu's feet. The crack constantly expanded, as though it was going to swallow Li Zongjiu whole. At the same time, many poisonous insects appeared from the crack and charged at Li Zongjiu. However, Li Zongjiu's aura only caused a slight tremor. It was enough to shatter the poisonous insects into pieces. It seemed like there were still many poisonous insects hidden in the middle reaches mountain. Li Zongjiu threw a ball of flame into the crack. Boom! The obsidian flame immediately burned the poisonous insects to ashes. Furthermore, the entire middle reaches mountain was releasing flames and energy. The obsidian flame also burned selectively. Some poisonous insects could not revive in time and were burned to ashes. It was impossible for them to revive. Heavenly Demon, he was shocked. He saw Li Zongjiu charging at him, and the white bone rake immediately scratched at Li Zongjiu's head. On the other hand, Li Zongjiu casually threw out a punch. Pang! The white bone rake was shattered into pieces by Li Zongjiu. What? My white bone rake? Heavenly Demon, his eyes widened. His white bone rake was refined from the bones of a level 6 origin beast with some special methods. How could it be broken by Li Zongjiu so easily? How terrifying was Li Zongjiu's fist? Such a tough white bone rake could not withstand a single blow from Li Zongjiu's fist. After breaking it, Li Zongjiu moved forward again and threw a punch. Pang! The domineering punch was mixed with terrifying strength. Heavenly Demon, his head was hit by the punch, and his body flew backward. He fell head first into the soil, and Heavenly Demon, he felt as if the world was spinning in his head. Damn it! When Heavenly Demon, he turned over again, he felt that his body could no longer withstand such a severe injury. Again. When he opened his eyes, he saw Li Zongjiu attacking again. You forced me to do this. Self-destructing bug. Heavenly Demon, he was not someone to be trifled with. Since Yi Shiwen was so arrogant and refused to let him go, he would take Yi Shiwen down with him. However, when the self-destructing bug detonated itself in an attempt to engulf Heavenly Demon, he and Li Zongjiu in the area of destruction, it exploded together. Li Zongjiu's fist landed on Heavenly Demon, his body. Heavenly Demon, he was sent flying into the air. Boom! An extremely tragic explosion rang out as Heavenly Demon, he exploded into a flower in the sky. Li Zongjiu's expression did not relax. Staring at the center of the explosion, he saw a tiny ray of light quietly escaping, as if it was drifting with the wind. However, Li Zongjiu saw something strange with a glance. After all, it was not the first time he had fought with these people. In addition, he had seen some strange moves over the years. Trying to trick your grandfather? Li Zongjiu immediately sneered, jumped, and caught the little bug that was flying in the air. Li Zongjiu, do you really want to kill all of us? That little bug was actually able to speak human language. For these masters of body venom, their bodies were just a tool. They could use this body, and naturally, they could use other bodies as well. The mystery of it was naturally difficult for ordinary people to understand. Only after truly learning and understanding it would one be able to understand the mystery. Yes. As soon as he finished speaking, obsidian fire gushed out of his tightly clenched fist, and directly burned the bug in his hand. Chapter 744. Zhang Biao recovered her Yuan Qi. She stared at the high and mighty Li Zongjiu, who had crushed He Tianma's last doppelganger. Only then did Zhang Biao truly face the young man in front of her. Although she knew that Li Zongjiu was strong, she didn't think that he was a smart person. Now that she saw Li Zongjiu kill Bai Shiyan and crush He Tianma's body, she couldn't help but wonder. She didn't have any chance to escape. Zhang Biao knew that Li Zongjiu's strength wasn't ordinary. "You're very strong." Zhang Biao stood up and said. "You're not bad either." Li Zongjiu looked at Zhang Biao. She was so young, but she was able to use the realm. If Zhang Biao hadn't seriously injured He Tianma, it wouldn't have been easy for Li Zongjiu to kill He Tianma, who had many tricks up his sleeve. Perhaps He Tianma would have escaped. After all, Li Zongjiu's realm was in a damaged state. If the realm was still there, it would be much easier to kill people. "This time, it's our southern tribe's fault," Zhang Biao surprisingly explained to Li Zongjiu. If it was an ordinary person, Zhang Biao wouldn't have paid any attention to them. In Zhang Biao's opinion, they weren't qualified to talk to her. But Li Zongjiu was different. Li Zongjiu had won her respect with his strength. "I won't ask about your matters. It has nothing to do with me. As long as you stay in the mountains obediently and don't come out to provoke me, everything will be fine. But if any one of you dares to come out and provoke me, Li Zongjiu, then I, Li Zongjiu, don't mind massacring the southern tribe." Li Zongjiu said indifferently. There were people killed by the poison sect of the southern region. Li Zongjiu was neither happy nor sad. The reason why he killed Celestial Demon he was not out of a sense of justice or anything else, but simply because the development of these people would endanger the safety of Luoxia City and affect the survival of Li Zongjiu's family. If he wanted the family to hone themselves, he didn't care about small fights. However, if it escalated to a situation where death was certain, Li Zongjiu would have no choice but to step in. Otherwise, these people would not know the immensity of heaven and earth. They would think that they could go anywhere in the world. "You sure talk big." Zhang Biao was furious. They had never heard of such arrogant words before. Even the Xingyan dynasty had never denied the existence of the southern border. They had allowed the southern border tribes to develop freely in the deep mountains. However, this brat's tone was not small. He had directly declared that he would massacre the southern border. If other people in the southern border tribes heard this, they would definitely fight him to the death. Li Zongjiu did not add anything else. It was up to her whether she believed it or not. Now that Celestial Demon he was dead, even if there were some remnants of the poison sect of the southern border outside, it would be difficult for them to achieve anything. Moreover, many people had already reacted, and the people in the southern border tribes had also noticed this situation. Naturally, they would not let them be so arrogant. Subsequently, Zhang Biao collected some things at the scene, and then directly removed the Poison Kingdom array and put the poisonous insects into a small jar. It was hard to believe that this small jar could allow hundreds of thousands of poisonous insects to crawl into it little by little. It was extremely shocking. "Your small jar is worth a lot of money, isn't it?" Li Zongjiu asked. However, Zhang Biao just glanced at him. When she was about to leave, she also looked back at Li Zongjiu. "I, Zhang Biao, owe you a favor. If you are in trouble in the future, you can come to the southern border tribes to find me." After saying that, she took a hairpin from her head and threw it at Li Zongjiu. When Li Zongjiu just caught the hairpin, Zhang Biao's figure had already disappeared. He looked at the hairpin in his hand. "It's actually a 10,000-year-old wuhou wood." Li Zongjiu's eyes were filled with surprise. Soon after, he guessed Zhang Biao's intentions. Putting aside the fact that he could use this thing to find her and ask for her help, with Zhang Biao's status, this favor would be able to mobilize at least half of the southern border tribe's resources. Therefore, this was very valuable. In addition, the material of this hairpin itself was 10,000-year-old wuhou wood. It was a material that had reached the peak of perfection. This wuhou wood alone was precious, not to mention that it was 10,000-year-old. When worn, poisonous insects, snakes, and ants would not be able to get close to a radius of 1,000 meters. When worn, it could expel poison and ward off evil spirits. These poisonous insects of the southern border poison cult were no longer a threat to Li Zongjiu. It's actually a good thing. Li Zongjiu knew that if this 10,000-year-old wuhe wood was used to concoct medicinal pills, it would definitely be a kind of auxiliary material of excellent quality. Li Zongjiu looked around. He was also vigilant against these guys. They shouldn't rise from the ashes. If that happened, it would be another unnecessary trouble. When I go back, I have to talk to the people of Zishuan Court and see if there are any remnants of the southern border poison cult. Clean them all up. A figure rushed over from the foot of the mountain. Young lord. Are you okay? Tian Fei arrived in front of Li Zongjiu. His battle record could be considered remarkable. When he chased that person into the mountain just now, he directly fell into the Great Formation. If it wasn't for his profound origin power, he would have been swallowed by these poisonous insects a long time ago. Now that he was complacently free, he quickly caught up. If it wasn't for Li Zongjiu and the others who dealt with these people in time, it would have been difficult for Tian Fei to escape. I'm fine. Let's go. Li Zongjiu waved his hand and returned to the giant cerulean wave city with Tian Fei. When they saw Li Zongjiu and Tian Fei coming back, they were overjoyed. They even thought that their giant cerulean wave city was about to be lost. Even if this giant cerulean wave city could be saved, their clans definitely wouldn't have any way to survive. Even if the imperial court investigated after this, it was impossible to resurrect all of them. Elderly, it's really a divine weapon from the heavens. Zheng Yonghui and the others gathered around. At this moment, an old man in a pharmacist's robe walked out from among them with a trace of respect on his face. This was the manager of the giant cerulean wave city's heavenly pill pavilion. Ruan Zhu, the manager of the giant cerulean wave city's pavilion branch, greets the elder. Ruan Zhu stepped forward and said respectfully. Although the young man in front of him wasn't old, he was already an honorary elder of the heavenly pill pavilion. Such a person with such a high honor naturally had to be treated with the highest courtesy when he came to a small place like theirs. However, Ruan Zhu only found out about Li Zongjiu's arrival later. It was also because of Ruan Zhu's arrival that Zheng Yonghui and the others knew how high Li Zongjiu's position in the Sacred Flame Royal City was. No need to be so polite. I've already killed the poison sect of the southern region. You guys should be more careful in order to prevent any fish from escaping the net from causing trouble. Li Zongjiu said. Hearing Li Zongjiu's words, Fang Youji and the others were truly relieved. At the same time, they were shocked by Li Zongjiu's strength. In just one night, he had directly dealt with the malignant tumor that had caused havoc in the Dinghuan region for several months. Everyone congratulated him one after another. At this moment, Pang Shan's subordinates came to report. When Pang Shan heard this, his face was filled with shock. He first walked in front of Zheng Yonghui and whispered a few words. Zheng Yonghui's face changed drastically. Elderly, something bad has happened. Just now, a spy reported that the last banner of the 8 Banners Army, the Black Eagle Banner, is preparing to attack Luoxia City. Chapter 745. Attack Luoxia City. When Li Zongjiu heard these words, he was enraged on the spot. The aura on his body suddenly became extremely sharp. You are courting death. After saying these 2 words, Li Zongjiu's body was full of killing intent and he was ready to set off. However, Zheng Yonghui stopped Li Zongjiu. Elder, please wait. The Black Eagle flag is the real sky cavalry of Qingyuan Manor. I will let the Qilin worship go with you. It will be like a hot knife through butter. Zheng Yonghui said and immediately ordered Zheng Haoran to dispatch the Qilin worship. Now that Zheng Yonghui had obtained 100 upper-grade primordial stones, he was naturally rich and imposing. Moreover, if he fawned on Li Zongjiu, he would have a better life in the future. After thinking about it, the speed of the Qilin worship was naturally faster. All right. Let's set off immediately. Li Zongjiu and Tian Fei boarded the Qilin warship while the rest stayed in the city. However, Zheng Haoran and a group of Zheng family guards were also on the Qilin warship. That night, the Qilin warship broke through the Sea of Clouds. The distance between giant Azure Wave City and Luoxia City was more than 20,000 miles. Given the speed of the Qilin warship, if the horsepower was increased, it would reach Luoxia City in less than 6 hours. They would definitely be able to see Luoxia City before daybreak. In terms of speed, it was naturally extremely fast. After all, Li Zongjiu's Yuan Qi was only at the 5th grade Yuan King realm. If they hurried, it would take at least 10 hours to break through the 20,000 miles and reach Luoxia City. Naturally, it would not be fast enough for the Qilin warship. Pass my order. Extreme speed mode. Zheng Haoran gave orders on the Qilin warship like a wise and mighty captain. With a command, the weapons on the Qilin warship were all put away and a huge horizontal mast appeared from the bottom of the Qilin warship. Boom! The thrusters at the stern of the Qilin warship roared like a fire dragon. In the blink of an eye, the Qilin warship disappeared from the sky above giant Azure Wave City. North of Luoxia City. There was a river about 300 li away, and on the other side of the river was a stretch of mountainous land. Here, one could often see a group of handsome and valiant horses passing by. At the foot of the mountain, there was an encampment. If one wanted to get close to Sunset City, then the first thing one had to do was pass through these mountains. As early as a year ago, the people of Thousand Horse City had already sent people to plan this place as a military training ground. Many people were sent to guard this place. With the troops of Thousand Horse City here, some people with evil intentions did not dare to act rashly. Ever since Li Zongjiu cured the old general of Thousand Horse City a year ago, the commander of Thousand Horse City, Nan Yan, promised to help Li Zongjiu protect Luoxia City. This was to prevent Qingyuan Mountain Villa from dealing with the Li clan in Sunset City. Obviously, the people of Thousand Horse City had done a good job. It was the deputy commander of Thousand Horse City, Feng Qingyu. Although it was nighttime, Feng Qingyu had already gathered information that the Qingyuan manor had secretly dispatched a team to take down the Sunset City. Recently, Luoxia City could be said to be in high spirits. In addition to Li Zongjiu taking care of Sacred Flame Royal City, Sunset City had also mined dark steel iron from the Xian Yuan ore. There was a dark steel iron hidden under the Xian Yuan Oregon. Moreover, the Li clan had kept it a secret. Until now, the news of the dark steel iron had gradually leaked out. Currently, the Li clan in Sunset City had already stored a large amount of dark steel iron. With so many dark steel iron here, it was a large amount of war resources. If they could take down the Li clan, these dark steel iron would definitely increase the fighting power of Qingyuan Mountain Villa. Regardless of whether it was to forge armor or weapons, these black iron materials were essential. Therefore, Feng Qingyu had also gathered the men beside the river, waiting for an opportunity to attack. They were ready to welcome the arrival of the enemy at any time. There seemed to be some slight movement in front. Alert! A large number of mounted archers behind her immediately became alert. Over the past few days, Feng Qingyu had been staying here for a long time and would often receive invitations from Sunset City. At the same time, Thousand Horse City and Sunset City had gradually developed a relationship of mutual needs. For example, if Thousand Horse City needed some medicinal herbs or raw materials, they could be handed over to the Li clan. Moreover, the Li clan's style of doing things was very similar to Li Zongjiu's. They would not go back on their word and would not make any other movements. They would not do these things too deliberately. Therefore, during the process of getting along with the Li family, they were quite harmonious. Swoosh swoosh swoosh. It seemed that a few lone wolves had jumped into the river and disappeared without a trace. Seeing this scene, Feng Qingyu frowned. The wolves could not escape unless they encountered an even more terrifying creature. Swoosh swoosh swoosh. 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 In the next moment, a rain of arrows rained down from the sky. Above the rain of arrows were incomparably arrogant flames. "Raise your shields." Feng Qingyu slashed away several arrows with her sword and hollowed out a large area. However, there were still some flames on the flaming arrowheads. When the fuse was burnt out, there was a loud boom. A series of explosions occurred on the ground. Due to the explosion, the formation behind Feng Qingyu was in a state of chaos. "Find their archers and mounted troops. Charge!" At Feng Qingyu's command, she mounted her horse as well. He stepped on the water of the Qianjin River and rushed forward. Boom! When she reached the forest on the opposite side, she immediately found a large number of enemy troops entrenched there. The people below immediately engaged in a massacre. Behind Feng Qingyu, a large number of soldiers charged forward. Almost everyone in Thousand Horse City had a shield. As they charged forward, they immediately scattered the enemy formation in front of them. In the forest, a bloody and tragic battle immediately broke out. Feng Qingyu's sword pierced through several enemies and blood splattered in the forest. However, when she was about to finish killing, Feng Qingyu felt that the atmosphere was a little strange. "What's going on?" Feng Qingyu's eyes flashed with a trace of surprise. These people seemed to be here to die. However, their strength was not weak. Were they just here to delay them? Just when Feng Qingyu felt strange, she suddenly raised her head. Under the pitch-black night sky, hundreds of enormous figures swiftly drifted across the sky. As it flew, it brought along a terrifying airflow as it swiftly swept past the area below. Feng Qingyu's eyes immediately showed a trace of surprise. She knew that this was not good. The ones on top were their main forces. Black Eagle flag. From the back of the Black Eagles, many earthen jars were thrown down. These jars were all filled with fish oil. Boom! A powerful explosive suddenly exploded on the spot and a large number of people were blown away. They rolled a few times on the spot. Boom! 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 Feng Qingyu was also affected by the explosion. Many people's bodies were immediately burned by the flames, and the area below them turned into a sea of fire. "Dig into the ground. Don't enter the water." As she spoke, Feng Qingyu blasted a huge pit on the ground with her sword and pushed a person who was covered in flames into it. The moment he rolled in the pit, the flames on his body were extinguished. Some people jumped into the water in a hurry, but they were unable to extinguish the flames. Instead, the flames on his body burned his entire body. They realized that the method of digging into the ground was feasible. Everyone followed suit and blasted a huge pit on the ground with a punch. With their many years of cultivation, they still had the strength to do so. "Sky Team, follow me into the city." Feng Qingyu patted the Pegasus she was riding. The Pegasus immediately spread its pair of white wings and flew rapidly in the forest with Feng Qingyu. There were a total of 6 Pegasus galloping behind her. Their speed was extremely light. However, compared to the Black Eagles in the sky, their speed was still not enough. Chapter 746. Luoxia City. The Bai family had already become Luoxia City's protection network in terms of intelligence. Firstly, it ensured that they were able to collect intelligence from all around Luoxia City. Secondly, it ensured that the information in Luoxia City would not be leaked out easily. Bai Luoxue was also the mastermind of this information protection network. After receiving funding from the Li family, Bai Luoxue had sufficient wealth and a platform to show off her skills. It was precisely because Bai Luoxue had gone all out that the news of the black iron ore had been completely concealed. However, the strength of the Qingyuan villa was too strong. Therefore, it was reasonable for people to find out in the end. It all depended on how long they could hide. Bai Luoxue had also informed the Li family about the Black Eagle flag of Qingyuan villa's attack. The Li family had also prepared for this attack with all their might. However, there were only a few origin ancestor realm experts in the Li family. Firstly, there was Xiaoya, who had a 1,000-year water lily. She had already reached the level of a level 4 spiritual master. Origin ancestor realm experts who wanted to offend Luoxia city were all stopped by Xiaoya. Many people had even entered the city inexplicably and found that they could not wake up. There was also the golden-winged blue-tailed eagle. As a peak level 3 origin beast, it had been fed with elixirs from the Li family half a year ago. It had broken through level 3 and reached the level of a level 4 origin beast. The last person was Li Tianqing. Li Tianqing had cultivated the Sky Blaze Lion King technique, which Li Zongjiu had given him. His strength seemed to have opened up the meridians in his body and he had a huge breakthrough in his cultivation. He had advanced triumphantly all the way, breaking through the origin general realm and reaching the origin ancestor realm. Even the city lord of Luoxia city, Yi Chao, was no match for Li Tianqing now. To be able to achieve such a high breakthrough in such a short period of time, aside from the Yuan incantation, it was also because Li Tianqing's own cultivation base had been activated. It seemed that as Li Zongjiu's cultivation had broken through, the cultivation of most of the people in the Li family had also advanced by leaps and bounds. This was a kind of bloodline connection. If Li Zongjiu was at the primitive emperor level, or even the sovereign level, it would be much easier for the people of the Li family to cultivate. Such a mysterious reason was also very difficult to explain. There were many things that could not be explained in the first place. The arrival of Qingyuan Villa's Black Hawk flag this time will surely be a bloody battle. Li Tianqing was wearing a grayish-black robe with wide sleeves. He stood at the top of the city wall. Beside him was City Lord Yi Chao and Gu Xianwu from the Gu clan. After a year, the people of Luoxia city had thoroughly understood who the real experts were. The Sun family, which was also one of the 4 major families, had also declined. The Li family also didn't find trouble with the Sun family. After all, the Sun family was also a local family of the Luoxia city. There was no need to exterminate them. The Bai family and the Gu family had basically withdrawn from the main stage. The head of the Bai family was basically in a state of retirement. Everything was also handed over to Bai Luoxue to manage. The Gu clan had no intention of fighting and had a good relationship with the Li family. The situation in Luoxia city was also quite stable. Of course, the growth of the Li family had really made these families feel great pressure. They also knew that it was impossible to surpass the Li family, because there was no genius like Li Zongjiu in their family. If they wanted to live peacefully, they had to be well-behaved. Only smart people could live for a long time. Li Tianqing said in a deep voice. In this bloody battle, there might be some losses. At the same time, he also glanced at the people around him. For Yi Chao, the city lord didn't think about how he could develop Luoxia city. However, if he could one day stand out, it would be something that Yi Chao wished for. After all, he still had a granddaughter, Yi Tianxue. If Yi Tianxue was bullied in the future, he had to be Yi Tianxue's strong backing. Now the enemy was attacking. Yi Chao must stand out to resist such a crisis. Needless to say, where else can we go after leaving Luoxia city? Gu Xuanwu said faintly. His words showed that he had already seen through many things. In addition, the recent arrival of the people from Qianma city made Gu Xuanwu feel like he had once again returned to the army of the past. Even if he wanted to serve this old general, he must stubbornly persevere. He had to protect Luoxia city. Obviously, this was destined to be a battle of life and death. Li Tianqing also didn't send a signal for help to Li Zongjiu. After all, this crisis was very likely to be a disaster for the Li family. For Li Zongjiu, it wasn't a bad thing. As a father, how could he let his child face these things? Therefore, Li Tianqing also gathered the Li family to fight against this disaster. He couldn't rely on Li Zongjiu for everything. After all, Li Zongjiu had given back too much to the Li family so far. The entire Luoxia city seemed to be emitting a mournful aura. There seemed to be a terrifying vibration in the air ahead, causing the people on the city wall to involuntarily clench the weapons in their hands and stare straight ahead. Boom! A group of white cranes flew over from afar. Although it was dark at the moment, it was as if the sky was shining brightly. "It's the people of Wuxue Pellet Sect," someone exclaimed. At this moment, to be able to receive the help of this ally really made people feel very warm in their hearts. "It's Elder Lin Sung of Wuxue Pellet Sect." Everyone's face revealed a joyful expression. About 50 to 60 white cranes flew across the sky. The scene was very spectacular. A vast expanse of whiteness hovered in front of the city wall. "Li family head, how could you not look for us for such a lively matter?" Lin Sung stood on the back of the white crane, facing Li Tianqing and the others. "Thank you for your trouble, Elder Lin. Please enter the city." Li Tianqing also laughed heartily. Over the past few days, the cooperation between Lin Sung and the Li clan had become extremely close. Moreover, the Li clan had gradually become stronger and it was difficult for the Snow Pill sect to ignore them. Therefore, Wuxue Pellet sect naturally couldn't sit back and do nothing when such a problem occurred in the Li family. The Peak Master is still in seclusion, but the two main peaks of Wuxue Pellet sect are already on their way here. "We're just a group of advanced troops," Lin Sung said. Now, it seemed that it was the right choice to have a good relationship with the Li family. Thinking of Li Zongjiu's strength and influence in the Sacred Flame Royal City, Lin Sung felt very lucky. Lin Sung was still Li Zongjiu's servant. Now, with Li Zongjiu's strength and cultivation, he didn't need an old man like him. Lin Yao followed closely behind Lin Sung. This big-eyed beauty had heard of Li Zongjiu's legend during this period of time. Many disciples only thought that Li Zongjiu could reach such a level, and that it was all just bragging. However, Lin Yao knew that the guy really had such terrifying strength. It wasn't fake at all. Is Li Zongjiu really that strong? He actually wants our sect to protect his family. Some of the genius disciples who had just entered the sect couldn't help but doubt. At the same time, they also thought that it was just a legend created by the elders. Buzz! It was as if an invisible wave was coming from afar. The white cranes on the city wall also suddenly fell into a panic at this moment, but under the forceful control of their masters, they finally calmed down and pacified these white cranes. "What's that?" Everyone raised their heads and saw a black cloud in front of them. However, the black cloud was also rushing over at an extremely fast speed. Beep! The golden-winged blue-tailed eagle, which was still in the city, let out a loud roar that pierced the sky. The sky gradually brightened. Chapter 747. The Banner Master of the Black Hawk Division. His expression was grave and stern, and his eyes were filled with cruelty. The Black Hawk Division behind him truly had 500 riders. Their mission was different from the others in the first place. On the surface, the 8 Banners soldiers were fighting against the poison cult of the southern frontier, and they were fighting a guerrilla war. Meanwhile, the members of the Black Hawk Banners were all carefully selected and trained Black Hawk Guards. They had to select talents from the well-trained Blood Strike Guards and continue to train them. Only under such circumstances could they become true Black Hawk Guards. Therefore, even if the Black Hawk Guards left the Black Hawk Division, they would still be powerful Blood Strike Guards. Their mission was to plunder. Regardless of the cost, they would plunder resources. Wherever there were resources, they would kill their way there and plunder their resources. This was the fastest way to grow and accumulate strength. A terrifying aura came from within the city. Even the Black Hawk King seemed to be afraid of it. The enormous golden-winged blue-tailed eagle appeared on the city wall. The hundreds of Black Eagle troops finally stopped at this moment. They focused their attention on the activity in front of them. 500 Black Eagles were in the sky. Just this action of flapping their wings was enough to cause a wild wind to blow within the city. Boom! The banner master of the Black Hawk Division glanced sideways and gestured. Immediately, a figure flew out from the Black Hawk Division. People of the Luoxia city, listen up. Hand over the mysterious iron ore and we will leave immediately. Otherwise, we will kill you without mercy. Everyone's gaze was focused on Li Tianqing. Li Tianqing's eyes were filled with a cold light. I have long heard of your style. Since you are here today, there is no need for you to leave. Li Tianqing laughed coldly. As its voice faded, the golden-winged blue-tailed eagle's body pounced forward. It was accompanied by a wild wind as it charged towards the Black Hawk Guard. The Black Hawk Division was at the Origin Ancestor realm, but the black figure he was sitting on was only a rank 3 Origin beast at the Origin General realm. Therefore, when it sensed the golden-winged blue-tailed eagle charging towards it, it was clearly sluggish. The Black Hawk Division originally wanted to counterattack, but just as he raised his hand and was about to stab out with the 3-meter-long spear in his hand, his body suddenly stiffened. Oh no! The Black Hawk Guard's eyes were filled with terror. In the next second, he was torn into two by the golden-winged blue-tailed eagle. Blood splattered all over the sky. When this scene appeared, the Black Hawk Banner's banner master remained completely unperturbed. However, there was a trace of astonishment in his eyes. He did not expect that these fellows who were as weak as ants would actually dare to resist. Kill! 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 The golden-winged blue-tailed eagle circled in the sky above the Sunset City. The people of the Sunset City were shouting crazily. In a war, momentum was the most important thing. Li Tianqing had long known that there was no room for negotiation with these people before him. Just based on the things that Li Zongjiu had done before, killing so many people in Qingyuan Manor, it was impossible for Luoxia City to pass by unscathed. Thus, the purpose of these people coming this time was firstly for the black iron ore, and secondly, to destroy the Li family. How could Li Tianqing not know that? Since they were going to fight, then they might as well go all out and fight without any nonsense. Truly ants who are not afraid of death. The Black Hawk Banner Master smiled disdainfully. He was only using these little tricks to bluff and was completely unaffected. However, since these people wanted to die so much, then he would directly kill them. Immediately, the Black Hawk Banner Master waved his hand. Kill them. The hundreds of Black Hawks behind him attacked together. When these Black Hawk guards rushed to the city wall, Lin Sung and the others were already prepared to attack. However, they saw that Li Tianqing and the others seemed to be deliberately suppressing them. They were clearly very close to them. They could even feel that the wings of these Black Hawks were already on their faces. Attack! Li Tianqing roared loudly. A huge illusory figure seemed to have appeared in the city. When this illusory figure appeared, it directly caused the Black Eagle, who was moving, to be involuntarily stunned. Li Tianqing also seized this fleeting opportunity and directly took out a weapon from the storage ring. Wrath Dragon Capturing. On top of the city wall, 20 sets of Raging Dragon Capture appeared. Under the continuous activation, the closest group of Black Eagles were instantly blasted into pieces. Half of the Raging Flames Dragon Capturing released a net of fire, while the other half directly released energy attacks. In an instant, the front row of over 10 Blackhawk guards were smashed into pieces. The Sea of Flames also instantly forced the Blackhawk guards behind to retreat. In the midst of this chaos, the golden-winged blue-tailed eagle also suddenly attacked. In an instant, it clawed the area in front of it. It attacked like lightning. After the golden-winged blue-tailed eagle broke through to become a rank 4 origin beast, its strength was extremely terrifying. Its strength had also become extremely terrifying. Its body had also undergone a huge breakthrough. A rank 4 Yuan beast and a rank 3 Yuan beast were on completely different levels. Even the Black Hawk King, who was also a rank 4 origin beast, could clearly feel a trace of threat when facing the golden-winged blue-tailed eagle. It could not wait to hide at the back. Fortunately, its master was quite impressive. He stood on the spot and did not move, allowing the Black Hawk King to maintain its stability. Mental Spirit Master. The Black Hawk Flag Master stared at a direction in the city. The wave of energy just now was the wave of a Mental Spirit Master. He did not expect that there was actually a Mental Spirit Master hidden in Luoxia City. It was really surprising. After all, how could a high-end talent like a Mental Spirit Master be willing to stay in a place like Luoxia City? He probably would not want to come back if he went out to explore a little. Disperse, a bunch of useless trash. The Black Hawk Flag Master ordered. The Black Hawk Guards, who had suffered some losses, also dispersed in all directions. Under the cooperation of the Wrath Dragon capturing the golden-winged blue-tailed eagle and the Mental Spirit Master in the city. If they wanted to force their way in, it would be very difficult. A bunch of ants, die for me. The Black Hawk Flag Master originally did not want to personally take action. However, after this matter was over, there were other important matters to attend to. This was only a station. In order not to waste time, he personally took action. The Black Hawk Flag Master directly charged towards Li Tianqing. Li Tianqing was not afraid. However, when the Black Hawk Flag Master truly displayed his strength, Li Tianqing was still intimidated by his aura. A Yuan monarch. It was actually a Yuan monarch powerhouse. Although Li Tianqing really wanted to turn around and flee in the face of this aura, he knew that he definitely could not fall. He had to stand up. If he were to fall, the people behind him would also fall. Thunderbolt Elixir. Li Tianqing threw an elixir pill at the golden-winged blue-tailed eagle. After the golden-winged blue-tailed eagle swallowed the elixir pill, its aura immediately soared and it charged towards the Black Hawk Flag Master. Fire. The 20 Wrath Dragon capturing weapons below also hurriedly aimed at the Black Hawk King in the sky. Boom. 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 Massive flames instantly engulfed the area in front of them. The golden-winged blue-tailed eagle also charged forward and engaged the Black Hawk King in battle. Boom! Within the raging flames, a figure was immediately blasted out. It was the golden-winged blue-tailed eagle. In just one move, the golden-winged blue-tailed eagle had been seriously injured. When they saw the golden-winged blue-tailed eagle's body fall below the city wall, no one dared to believe their eyes. It should be known that the golden-winged blue-tailed eagle had been guarding the Li family for more than a year. During this period of more than a year, almost no one dared to disrespect the golden-winged blue-tailed eagle. It was basically equivalent to a supreme elder as a guardian deity. Now, the Li family's last hope had been defeated. Within the city wall, Xiaoya's mental energy was also reflected back at this moment. She originally wanted to affect the Black Hawk Flag Master, but her strength was far from enough and she suffered a strong backlash. What other tricks do you have? Just use them. The Black Hawk Flag Master waved his hand and overturned the flames in front of him. When his figure appeared, it was as if the Death Knight had appeared. The people on the city wall all revealed astonished expressions. This was because the Black Hawk Flag Master's strength was too strong. As his voice faded, suddenly, a huge rumbling sound came from the sky. At the same time, the sky, which was originally slightly bright, suddenly darkened at this moment. What is that? Everyone raised their heads and looked. They all thought that a mountain was about to fall. Chapter 748. The huge body of the Qilin battleship covered the sky above the city wall. Originally, the sky was already slightly clear, but the appearance of the Qilin battleship suppressed the faint light, causing the surroundings to fall into darkness. Long time no see, everyone. Li Zongjiu landed on the city wall. He appeared with a smile. Li Tianqing and the others looked at the young man who had descended from the sky as if they were dreaming. Compared to a year ago, there was not much change. He was still as calm and collected as before. The way he acted was even more admirable. However, Li Zongjiu's aura was even more unfathomable. "Brat, you're finally back." Li Tianqing was stunned for a long time when he saw Li Zongjiu, but he still patted Li Zongjiu's shoulder in the end. How many people in this world dared to pat Li Zongjiu's shoulder? Li Tianqing was one of them. "You came at the right time today. You and I will fight side by side," Li Tianqing said as he patted Li Zongjiu's shoulder. Then, he looked up at the Qilin battleship in the sky. Because the bottom of the Qilin battleship was facing them, it was impossible to see the full appearance of the Qilin battleship. They could only see darkness when they looked up. "Fight?" Li Zongjiu looked at Li Tianqing suspiciously. "Tianfei, I'll leave this kind of trash to you," Li Zongjiu ordered. Then, a figure suddenly appeared in the void. He rushed towards the Black Hawk Banner Master. Li Tianqing wanted to see what was going on, but Li Zongjiu pulled Li Tianqing, Yi Chao, and the others away. "Since everyone is here, let's have a good meal." "It's my treat," Li Zongjiu said casually. There was still a Yuan King level enemy waiting outside. Yet, he wanted to drink and chat now. That was too much. It was as if the heavens did not care about the enemy. "What? You did it?" "That guy hasn't." Li Tianqing struggled to turn around, wanting Li Zongjiu to send the Black Hawk Division's banner master away first. Just as Li Tianqing turned around, he saw a figure charging towards the Black Hawk banner master. He then drew his sword and a majestic sword chi whizzed out. The Black Hawk banner master froze on the spot. Boom! The Black Hawk banner master's body was directly split into two by this tyrannical sword chi. Flesh and blood splattered everywhere. It was as simple as chopping a watermelon. The man was killed so easily. It was unbelievable. The disciples of the Snow Elixir sect who had come to participate in the battle widened their eyes when they saw this scene. Fuck! Tianfei held a long sword in his hand and stared at the Black Hawk guards who were still lingering in the sky. These Black Hawk guards seemed to have realized something and immediately turned around to escape. However, Tianfei's sword chi followed closely behind. Boom! 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 Hundreds of Black Hawk guards exploded in the sky instantly. This young man was actually a Yuan King level elite. Tianfei's sword move shocked everyone on the Luoxia city wall. After all, he was a grade 5 Yuan King level elite. Compared to Li Zongjiu, he was naturally very inferior. However, if he wanted to kill these little trash, it would still be an easy thing to do. Li Zongjiu was so powerful that he could easily kill Yuan King level elites. Even though they had seen it with their own eyes, they still could not believe it. Tianfei's figure returned to the city wall and followed Li Zongjiu's group. He did not say much, just like a cold-blooded killer. If Tianfei did not use any moves and just followed them, based on Tianfei's temperament, one would think that the person before them was a pretentious person. Most people would find such a person annoying after looking at him. However, after Tianfei killed the Yuan King level elite with a single sword move, everyone knew how powerful he was. When they looked at Tianfei again, they deeply felt that this fellow was an elite. Why would such an elite listen to that person's words? Was that Li Zongjiu? He must be very rich, so he spent money to hire an elite. That makes sense. Otherwise, why would this elite follow him so quietly? How much would it cost to hire such an elite? Some of the disciples of the Snow Elixir sect discussed among themselves. They were the more promising disciples of the sect. If they were successful in their studies, they could also become experts hired by others in the future. This way, Not only would they be able to roam the underworld, but they would also be able to seek revenge at a high price. This was almost everyone's dream. Therefore, he was also eager to know the current market pricing. He really wanted to know. If they walked out with such strength, how much would the other party be willing to pay to hire them? Cut the crap, Lin Yao said in a deep voice. The disciples below did not dare to say anything. Senior sister Lin Yao's strength was definitely outstanding among these disciples. Many of them even looked up to her as a role model. Zongjiu, why don't you introduce this little brother to us? Li Tianqing asked as he walked. Everyone went directly to a high-class restaurant in Luoxia City. This restaurant was still the property of the Sun family. When the manager saw such a large group of people coming, and all of them were famous people in the city, he naturally had to entertain them. Tian Fei, my subordinate. Li Zongjiu pointed at Tian Fei and said. Tian Fei, this is my father. Greetings, family head. Tian Fei greeted Li Tianqing respectfully. His greeting was also very standard. At first glance, one could tell that he was a disciple from a big sect. Tian Fei is from a big sect? Lin Sung could not help but ask. Tian Fei's temperament was not something an ordinary person could possess. Tian Fei was abandoned by his sect. Fortunately, he was saved by the young master. If these people knew that Tian Fei was a disciple of the Xianyuan sect, they would definitely be shocked. Previously, these people also guessed that Li Zongjiu might have invited such an expert from somewhere. But now, it seemed that Tian Fei was simply following Li Zongjiu and was willing to be Li Zongjiu's subordinate. That meant that Li Zongjiu had the ability to make Tian Fei submit completely. That ship outside, Yi Chao said. Although he could not see it now, his intention was clear. Compared to these experts, Yi Chao was more interested in the Qilin battleship. As the lord of this city, if he could find such a thing to protect the city, what was there to be afraid of? Most of the city lord mansions were not set up to manage the forces in the city. Because the forces in the city were flourishing and it was impossible to manage them all. The situation was extremely unstable. The city lord mansions were set up to defend against meta beasts outside the city. Occasionally, meta beasts would come and attack the city. At that time, the city lord mansions would take the initiative to shoulder the responsibility of the city lord. For example, this time, these people from the Black Hawk flag were already very arrogant. They actually dared to directly climb on top of the Luoxia city. This was obviously a challenge to the dignity of the city lord. But if you were not strong enough to defeat them, they might just destroy you. The sacred flame royal city was far away from the emperor. Who would care so much about you then? Therefore, it was necessary to equip yourself. Oh, it's so lively. Boss, I have already let the Qilin battleship hover in the air. While they were talking, Zheng Haoren also came alone. The guards were all gathered on the Qilin battleship. It was his ship that day. Zheng Haoren saw that there were so many people sitting in the room and he became serious. I am Zheng Haoren from the Zheng family of Jade Wave Giant City. Chapter 749. Cerulean Wave Giant City's Zheng family. Everyone was shocked when they heard the name. It's the Zheng family's third young master. Li Tianqing had seen Zheng Haoren before. Back in Guanxi town, Zheng Haoren had also appeared. Now that he mentioned such a powerful reinforcement, Li Tianqing was overjoyed. After all, the Zheng family was the #1 family in Cerulean Wave Giant City. Being able to establish a good relationship with such a powerful family was very important for the future development of the family. The entire restaurant had been booked as well. Li Tianqing then asked his men to bring Xiaoye and the others over. The injured golden-winged blue-tailed eagle was also carried back to the Li family. At the city gate, when Feng Qingyu and the others arrived, They discovered a battleship hovering above the city. Below the city gate, there were many corpses scattered around. It was a mess. What's going on? Luoxia City, on the other hand, looked calm and peaceful. The Li family members on the city wall saw Feng Qingyu and quickly greeted her. General Feng, you're here. Hurry up and enter the city. Our young master is back. Young master? Feng Qingyu frowned. Although it had been almost a year, Li Zongjiu, who seemed to have a magical method, who was arrogant and dared to negotiate with their commander, who cured their general with a magical method, was back. They hadn't seen each other for more than a year. Li Zongjiu probably didn't remember what she looked like. If the enemy has retreated, we'll retreat too. They rushed here in a hurry only to find that the enemy had been killed. What was the point of Feng Qingyu and the others staying here? They should leave as soon as possible. Immediately, Feng Qingyu turned her horse around and prepared to leave. However, when she turned around, she saw a young man in a grayish-black robe standing not far away. Since you're here, let's go in and have a drink. Li Zongjiu looked at the white-clothed girl in front of him. She had a head of beautiful black hair and slender jade-like legs. At this moment, she was slender and elegant. She should have been a well-bred young lady from a wealthy family, but now, she was fighting and killing here. She was born and raised here. The girl didn't seem to be dissatisfied with her fate at all. When Feng Qingyu saw Li Zongjiu again, although his appearance was still familiar, Li Zongjiu's aura had changed tremendously. However, no matter how much it changed, that sense of familiarity did not diminish. It was the same young man who had recklessly barged into their thousand-horse city. There's no need for a drink. You still have to train tomorrow. You've caused quite a lot of trouble this year. Feng Qingyu looked at Li Zongjiu and said. Li Zongjiu also had a helpless look on his face. He really didn't want to provoke so many things. It was just that some things came to him by themselves. When Li Zongjiu dealt with these things, he was already very polite. It's all thanks to all of you. If you need anything, you can look for me. Li Zongjiu said nonchalantly. Oh. You're the one who said it. Then help me catch a level 5 soul beast. Feng Qingyu chuckled and looked at Li Zongjiu, as if she was deliberately making things difficult for Li Zongjiu. Li Zongjiu also realized that Feng Qingyu's cultivation base had already reached the peak of the Yuan Zong level. It wasn't easy to have such a cultivation base at such a young age. Sure. Li Zongjiu also agreed. However, there was a trace of surprise in Feng Qingyu's eyes. She didn't take Li Zongjiu's words to heart. It wasn't easy to catch a level 5 Yuan beast, let alone alive. Similar to Feng Qingyu, she hadn't refined her Yuan spirit. Furthermore, she had been waiting until now to refine her Yuan spirit. It was the last step to break through to the Yuan monarch level. It was an excellent opportunity. Feng Qingyu didn't enter the city with Li Zongjiu to attend a dinner party. Instead, she led her men back to their original encampment. They were there to ensure the safety of this place. Li Zongjiu's return had easily solved these problems. Naturally, they didn't have to worry about it anymore. She's still so arrogant. Li Zongjiu couldn't help but shake his head. Feng Qingyu's temper wasn't ordinary. Li Zongjiu didn't force her to stay. Everyone had their own temperament and character. On the other hand, Li Zongjiu had to consider the matter of the rank 5 origin beast. This girl should be of the wind attribute. Then, I'll have to find a level 5 Yuan beast of the wind attribute. Li Zongjiu rubbed his head. Then, he thought of a place. This place was the best place for ordinary people to die. Even Yuan monarchs did not dare to approach this place carelessly. This matter had to be put aside for the time being. Since Li Zongjiu had returned, he naturally had to make some arrangements. Furthermore, the matter of Qingyuan Mountain Villa had yet to be resolved. It wouldn't be easy to get rid of these fellows. Who knew what kind of tricks these fellows had up their sleeves? After returning to the city, Li Zongjiu made a mental note of all the people who had helped him tonight. In the future, Luoxia City would naturally need so many people to support it. Otherwise, the entire Luoxia City would only have people from the Li family. Wouldn't it become a city of the Li family? The Li family. Li Zongjiu roughly explained his current situation to Li Tianqing, including the matter of the honorary elder of the Heavenly Elixir Pavilion and some business matters of the Great Delight Casino. If the Li family were to take care of these businesses directly, it would obviously be somewhat inappropriate. Therefore, the initial plan was to let the Li family disciples select some of the more outstanding ones and send them directly to the Sacred Flame Royal City. Li Zongjiu would then specially find people to train them. A group of people would be sent to the Sacred Flame Royal City to pave the way. First, they would learn. Only by constantly learning could the members of the family become stronger. Li Tianqing naturally approved of this plan after Luo Yunyang explained it to him. It was naturally a good thing to have such a grand goal and vision. However, how should we deal with the batch of dark iron ores stored in our family? Li Tianqing asked. Dark iron ores could be used to forge stronger weapons. It was even a necessary material for forging yuan weapons. It was a basic material. In terms of value, it was naturally very expensive. Is there a lot? Li Zongjiu asked. If there was only a little, then they could just casually dispose of it. It's double the original amount of Xian Yuan ores. When he heard this, Li Zongjiu's eyes widened. No wonder these people came over with such great fanfare. This was double the amount of Xian Yuan ores. Just the Xian Yuan ores alone was enough to feed the Su family in Flying Cloud City for a long time. Now that there was dark iron ores under the Xian Yuan ores, it was simply a huge surprise. It was even more unbelievable. With such a huge mineral vein in their hands, it was already very good to be able to ensure that they could mine it for such a long time. Since we have these dark iron ores, let's cooperate with some weapon dealers and reach a long-term strategy. Li Zongjiu said. If the Li family, an alchemy family, were to go and forge weapons again, it would indeed be a little too greedy. With so many resources, of course, it was necessary to connect with other channels. By the way, the 7-Star Fire Company also opened an agency in this city and gave all the agency rights to us. So, it would be better if we cooperate with the 7-Star Fire Company. Is that so? Then let's go to them. Li Zongjiu said. The people of the 7-Star Fire Chamber acted very quickly. They were already fawning over the Luoxia city. Therefore, Li Zongjiu was very satisfied in his heart. At least, Song Jiayu had done a good job in this aspect and had won Li Zongjiu's heart. The father and son also talked in this room for the whole night. After all, the Li family was still weak. But as long as Li Zongjiu was there, everything was not a problem. Chapter 750. Although Li Zongjiu's words revealed his incomparable ease. However, how could Li Tianqing not know how much effort Li Zongjiu had put in to get to where he was now? Son, you don't have to work too hard. This kind of thing has to be done slowly. Li Tianqing took a sip of tea and said. It could be seen that Li Zongjiu seemed to be working too hard to improve the family's strength. It looked like he had lost it once, so this time, he also put in a lot of effort. Until now, it seemed that it was still quite strenuous. What Li Tianqing didn't know was that no one would believe what Li Zongjiu had experienced even if he told them. Therefore, no one knew why Li Zongjiu was working so hard. When I gave you this name, I didn't want you to do anything for the family. I just wanted you to carry on the family line as soon as possible. When Li Tianqing said this, even Li Zongjiu, who had been calm for thousands of years, spat out a mouthful of blood. You're too much, Dad. Li Zongjiu wiped the saliva off his mouth and said. Looking at Li Tianqing, he seemed to be immersed in his own fantasy world. If you ask me, the little girl from the Bai family is not bad. She is good-looking and smart. It's just that the Bai family is a little unworthy of us now. General Feng from Thousand Horse City is also not bad. However, he is a soldier after all. If he fights and kills all day, it seems that it will be more difficult to manage in the future. Li Tianqing was extremely worried, and he began to plan for Li Zongjiu in his heart. What kind of wife should Li Zongjiu choose? But my Zongjiu is so outstanding. It's normal to bring a few more home. Oh, by the way, Zongjiu, did you meet a more suitable one in Monarch City? Li Tianqing also came back to his senses as he spoke, but when he looked up, he found that Li Zongjiu's figure had disappeared. Hey, this damn kid, how dare he run? When Li Tianqing saw that Li Zongjiu had escaped without anyone noticing, he was immediately furious. On the second day, some things had already begun to be dealt with. Li Zongjiu first came to see Xiaoye and the others. Your performance yesterday was pretty good. You should be able to control your 1,000-year water lotus by now. Once you can completely control it, you can go out and roam the world by yourself. Staying here will only restrict your growth. Li Zongjiu said, but Xiaoye's eyes were filled with tears. She felt like crying. Young master, are you chasing me out? Looking at Zhao's pitiful look, Li's head was about to explode. Alright. You can continue to stay here as long as you're happy. Then Li Zongjiu also fled. The 7-star fire room quickly sent the news of such a big deal of black iron ore back to the headquarters. The headquarters also immediately sent people to negotiate and carry out the handover. For Song Jieyu, all this was just a matter of a sentence. By the way, Thousand Taste Herb Hall has been cooperating well with us these days. Li Zongjiu remembered what Li Tianqing said last night. After all, the Li family was an alchemy family. These days, their alchemy skills had improved a little. After all, they had a lot of resources to pave the way, so there was no problem for them to improve their alchemy skills. Li Zongjiu was also a little surprised that Thousand Taste Herb Hall was able to open a branch here. Thinking back to when he was in Northern Medicine City, he also had a connection with Thousand Taste Herb Hall and received a lot of help from Thousand Taste Herb Hall. When Li Zongjiu walked into Thousand Taste Herb Hall, he found that Thousand Taste Herb Hall was still very popular. Not only did they collect some herbs so that the nearby farmers could have a full meal, but they also encouraged the surrounding people to plant spiritual herbs. The Thousand Taste Herb Hall would give out seeds for free. When the time came, these spiritual herbs would be bought back at a high price. The elixirs sold were only for strengthening the body, prolonging one's life, and promoting blood circulation and removing blood stasis. Since they were targeting different places, they would have to sell different types of medicinal pills. Only in this way could there be a way out. Oh, come and see where this wind came from. Even young Master Li was blown to our place. Li Zongjiu saw a graceful figure swaying towards him as soon as he entered the door. She also had a faint herbal fragrance on her body. She was the first chief of Thousand Taste Herb Hall, Lu Manxian. Long time no see. Li Zongjiu was in a good mood when he saw these people who had helped him before. Although Li Zongjiu did not expect too much help along the way, he had experienced some tragic situations. Now that he was able to get to where he was now with the help of these friends, he felt quite warm in his heart. Enemies were necessary, but friends were also necessary. Why did you come to a small place like Luoxia City? Li Zongjiu ignored Lu Manchuan's teasing. In terms of social interaction, he was naturally not as good as Lu Manxian. Now, there are many chambers of commerce who want to enter Luoxia City. We are the first to enter. This is our luck. Lu Manxian said. At the same time, she led Li Zongjiu into the inner room. Luoxia City was not big, but it was not small either. With Li Zongjiu's status, there was almost nothing he could not do in Luoxia City. Naturally, the treatment he received was not the same. You still have a conscience to remember people like us. Maybe you have already achieved great success and do not like us anymore. Lu Manchuan's tone was a little resentful. Just based on what she had heard, Li Zhongzhou's halo was enough to make people envious. Li Zhongzhou's current achievements could be said to be very high. Of course, it was different from the past. However, Lu Manxian was very accurate in judging people. Although Li Zhongzhou's status was not ordinary now, the way he looked at her did not change. He treated her as a friend, and they were still friends. There was no arrogance or complacency in his expression. I, Li Zhongzhou, will remember the help you have given to my Li family. In the future, if your 1,000-taste herb hall has any problems, just look for me. Li Zhongzhou said. Although his words were simple, the content was not ordinary. One had to know that with Li Zhongzhou's status, even if someone wanted to be the emperor, Li Zhongzhou would be able to send that person to the throne by hook or by crook. This was Li Zhongzhou's promise. When dealing with enemies, Li Zhongzhou would not leave a single one of them alive. He would kill them all and eliminate them by the roots. However, when dealing with friends, Li Zhongzhou would also give the greatest help. He would spare no effort to help. That's what you said. I will remember it. Lu Manxian looked at Li Zhongzhou's young and serious appearance and laughed. He was clearly still a child, but he acted as if he was an adult and made an extremely serious and solemn promise. However, in Lu Manchuan's heart, she trusted Li Zhongzhou very much. In her heart, she thought that the young miss had been troubled recently. Perhaps one day, she would really need Li Zhongzhou's help. If there's nothing else, I will take my leave first. Li Zhongzhou stood up and said. Just visiting alone for the day had consumed a lot of energy. When the sky was getting dark, Li Zhongzhou was ready to set off. What was he going to do? Of course, he was going to find trouble with Qingyuan Villa. Since these people had already stretched their hands to Luoxia City, Li Zhongzhou would definitely repay them tenfold. Otherwise, these people would really think that Li Zhongzhou could not do anything to them. Why don't you rest for 2 days? In 2 days, your mother should be back. Li Tianqing looked at Li Zhongzhou, who was in a hurry. He had been running all over the place. He had not even stayed for a day and was already in a hurry to leave again. No, there will be plenty of time in the future. There are still many things that have not been resolved. Let the people we have selected go to Monarch City directly. I have already given you the address and contact person. Just go and find them. I will arrange a good place for them. Li Zhongzhou said. Anyway, they were all members of his family. When the time came, he would find some people to train and then send them back to the Li family. The person selected must be someone with good moral character. Li Zhongzhou solemnly exhorted. This was very important because if there were any black sheep in the family, Li Zhongzhou would not hesitate at all. He would directly get rid of them and eliminate them from the family. There was no room for leniency. Although external enemies were dangerous, internal matters were often more serious. Chapter 751. Before leaving, Zheng Haoren stayed behind to talk to the Li family. Li Zhongzhou had also left some primordial stones to Li Tianqing regarding the Qilin warships. However, outsiders did not know about it. Primordial stones were precious after all. If outsiders knew about it, it might lead to another bloody battle. Having 10 Qilin warships was a great boost to the Li family's strength. However, it would take a lot of time for them to operate the Qilin warships. They had to specially train people who could pilot the Qilin warships. Naturally, the Zheng family would not let go of such a great opportunity to get in touch with Li Zhongzhou's family. They immediately sent several instructors to carry out the most detailed training. This was something that Li Zhongzhou had asked them to do. How could they be careless? The battle on the Middle Reaches Mountain had made the Zheng family understand Li Zhongzhou's strength. No matter what, they had to rely on Li Zhongzhou's thigh. There was no need to say much. Li Zongjiu and Tian Fei continued their journey. When they passed by a city, they spent a lot of money to buy information about Qingyuan Villa from the Tianyu Pavilion. Qingyuan Mountain was where Qingyuan Villa was located. There were a total of 3 cities in the vicinity of Qingyuan Mountain, forming a kind of encirclement. In reality, if anyone approached Qingyuan Mountain Villa, they would have to pass through these 3 cities, and Qingyuan Mountain Villa would immediately be informed of their movements. Qingshan City. A second-class city. Li Zongjiu and Tian Fei arrived at Qingshan City. As soon as they entered the city, even Tian Fei realized that someone was watching them. He immediately became vigilant. In the Qingshan City governor's mansion, many documents about Li Zongjiu were piled up. The Qingshan City governor, Dong Xuanzhou. Dong Xuanzhou was able to sit on the Qingshan City governor's seat because of the accumulation of blood behind him. Therefore, when he received the order, he did not hesitate to carry it out. As of now, these 3 cities had already been assimilated by the Qingyuan Villa. Li Zongjiu, you really came looking for me. This time, I, Dong Xuanzhou, am going to make a contribution. Dong Xuanzhou used to be the county magistrate of a small county. Later on, he disliked the corruption in the bureaucratic system, so he trained the county's soldiers into bandits. They were trained to kill corrupt officials and the like. Later on, he offended someone. He couldn't bear the responsibility, so he ran away. In the end, he was taken in by the people of Qingyuan Manor. The previous matter was easily settled, so Dong Xuanzhou was able to survive until now. What Dong Xuanzhou was best at was faking the scene to intercept and kill. There was no doubt that this time, he was going back to his old profession. Of course, Dong Xuanzhou could not directly say that he was helping the Qingyuan Villa. Therefore, he had to make some arrangements. The manor head said that we need this brat alive. An old man in a black robe appeared behind East Xuanzhou. Dong Xuanzhou glanced at the old man behind him. I don't need you to teach me how to do things. Dong Xuanzhou did not hold back. This old man was best at doing things behind people's backs. It was said that he used to be a corrupt official, so Dong Xuanzhou did not like him. However, in order to cooperate with the Qingyuan Villa, he chose to let this old man follow him. It was convenient for him to pass on orders. Dong Xuanzhou, don't blame me for not reminding you. This is a great opportunity. If you catch this brat, you'll have enough weight in front of the manor head. Even the woman you want won't be a problem. The old man was like an evil demon. He kept blowing wind in Dong Xuanzhou's ear, which made Dong Xuanzhou very unhappy. However, when he mentioned the woman, Dong Xuanzhou's heart tightened. After a moment of silence, Dong Xuanzhou pressed a button beside him. Get the night demon here. When he heard that Dong Xuanzhou was finally willing to take out his secret weapon, the old man's lips curled up slightly. This was the effect he wanted. Only with the night demon could they subdue Li Zongjiu. Just in the past few days, their Qingyuan manor had lost countless men in Li Zongjiu's hands. The reason why Dong Xuanzhou was able to secure his position as the city lord was because he had the night demon army. Recently, that person seems to be showing signs of returning. You should be careful. Dong Xuanzhou could not help but sneer when he saw the old man's smug look. Although Qingshan City was equivalent to a subsidiary city of the Qingyuan Villa, it was not safe for the people of the Qingyuan Villa to stay here. There were many people who wanted to cause trouble for the Qingyuan Villa. Recently, an extremely powerful person had appeared in the city. Quite a number of Qingyuan Manor's people had already been quietly killed. Other than the people of the Qingyuan Villa who were active outside, there was also a large number of logistical support staff, such as the intelligence agency and even the transportation department. A large amount of raw materials and items had to be transported continuously. Most of the people stayed in Qingshan City. Recently, an extremely mysterious assassin had appeared in the city. Lurking in the middle of the night, killing with one last blow, and escaping thousands of miles away after he succeeded. No one could find any trace of him. An assassin like this was undoubtedly terrifying. So far, no less than 20 people had been killed by this mysterious assassin. In the beginning, they were just some unimportant people. However, as of now, the other party seemed to have figured out their methods. The people they killed were all painful as if their muscles and bones had been injured. Even the people who worked for the Qingyuan villa in the city started to panic and become extremely worried. If that guy comes, I'll end him with my own hands. The old man said coldly. Li Zongjiu and Tian Fei stayed in the city. I heard that the city lord of Qingshan City is also a member of the Qingyuan villa. Bring him to see me. Li Zongjiu said. Bring a city lord to see you casually. If an ordinary person heard such an order, they would think that Emperor Xingyan was visiting incognito. Yes. Tian Fei naturally had no problem with it. Even this kind of behavior was just child's play for him. Being by Li Zongjiu's side, aside from other things, they had already seen a lot of things in this grand occasion. Tian Fei immediately left the inn. Li Zongjiu ordered some dishes and wine, but he saw that the surrounding diners seemed to tacitly stand up and leave one by one. Li Zongjiu saw this and did not do anything. By the time most of the people had left, Yi Zichen had already left. The innkeeper directly closed the door. This was clearly an unscrupulous inn on the table. Who would have thought that the Qingyuan villa had already invaded to such an extent? What gave these people the courage to kill people in the inn in broad daylight? It was worth mentioning that according to the rules of the Shengyan dynasty, places like inns and restaurants were all public places. Therefore, if something happened in such a place, it would be investigated to the end. However, the Jianghu was too chaotic. These things could not be taken care of. Boy, I've already poisoned the food. You'd better be obedient now. Otherwise, you'll suffer. Li Zongjiu raised his head and glanced at the innkeeper who was pretending to be ruthless. There were waiters and cooks behind him. Obviously, they were the staff of the inn. Seeing Li Zongjiu's gaze, the innkeeper was slightly surprised. Why did this boy look as if nothing had happened? Tie him up first. Immediately, two people waved the ropes in their hands and walked towards Li Zongjiu step by step. Just as they were about to take Li Zongjiu down, they saw Li Zongjiu flicking the two peanuts on the table. Swoosh swoosh, bang. Bang. The two corpses fell directly on the floor. The bloody hole in their heads was also bleeding non-stop. After seeing the two people fall to the ground, the innkeeper and the others screamed. They threw caution to the wind and rushed towards Li Zongjiu. They wanted to kill Li Zongjiu directly. They were certain that Li Zongjiu had been poisoned. Swoosh. It was peanuts again. The remaining 5 people's lives were also taken by the peanuts. Just then, a piece of paper floated out from the innkeeper's arms. The words, bounty, were written on it, and there was also a portrait of Li Zongjiu. You're tuning into the Blissful Bookshelf YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.